All right, hello YouTube. Welcome to episode 163, roundtable 163 of Dark Tower Palaver. I can't. We were kind of startled yesterday while doing the Patreon hangout that it's already May.
Yeah,
Doesn't feel
and it's also like one of those weird months where the episode doesn't come until the 10th.
Late,
so it's
it's not just May; it's double digits May now.
Yeah,
so very strange. But let's go ahead and hit the intro and get the podcast side started. Oh, that is the wrong button.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own Palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland to the Dark Tower came.
We are content, one from many. Let the Palaver begin.
Hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver, roundtable number 163. My name is Tad.
and I'm Peter.
And in the chat, we're already getting some Ermot remembrances, so gotta love that.
Disgusting.
Oh, what a way to start on such a good note.
Not a good note. No, not a good. Bad note. Terrible.
Oh, I love it. We're here now in May, chugging our way into May quite a ways. It's the way it fell as we ended up with this one where we're kind of later in the month than we normally would be. It's the 10th already, so pretty wild. So let's go ahead and jump on into the introduction stuff real quick. First of all, I want to warn you about spoilers. This is a roundtable, so if you've not finished the 7 primary books of the Dark Tower series, you may want to cry off this episode and stick with our book club episodes. With those, we stay where we're at or before we don't jump ahead. There is a very small spoiler section at the very end of every book club episode, but we give you ample warning before we get into that. So if you are perhaps meandering through book 5 right now for the first time ever, this is not a safe episode, but every book club that exists right now would be totally safe for you because we're nowhere near book 4 or 5. I guess we're past halfway through 4, so I guess we're close-ish, but I don't know. I don't know. I think by the end of this year we might be at least sniffing the end of book 4. I don't think we'll be there yet, but I think we'll be. I think we'll be within spitting distance. I think by this time next year we'll be in book 5 is my prediction. Woo-hoo. So Peter's Peter's pretty excited about that, I'm sure.
It's my favorite book. So
yeah, just like my favorite is book 4. So this has been pretty great. You know, Rhea, Ermot, Showdown the Traveler's Rest, all the fun things involved in book 4.
You're so gross.
We haven't even got to corner licking yet. That's still in the offing in our book club. So next up we have, if you want to find the podcast, you can do that any number of ways. We're on Apple Podcasting. We're on Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, and all your traditional podcasting services of your choice that are out there. If you could subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those, that always helps with all the algorithms and stuff. And speaking of algorithms and Blaine the Mono in real life, we are here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver for all of our live streams. And then all the old live streams are all posted there. We've been doing it for years now. You can go back and find the archive. It doesn't go all the way back to the beginning, but it goes quite a ways back. I think down into the 60s of our roundtable, so over 100 episodes, 100 roundtables now are well in the book there. So if on the YouTube side, though, if you want to be part of the chat, like so far we've got Baraki in the chat. I know we've got some other people listening, it looks like, if the YouTube numbers aren't lying to me. And then if you could subscribe and ring the bell for notifications, those are all things that help out on the YouTube side to help us, grow the channel and not get lightning teeth by Blaine. So also for notifications, we'll have a little bit of announcement about some scheduling changes. Ringing the bell for notifications is a way to know about those if you somehow missed our announcements on the episodes. Then if you want to find the show notes, you can do that at darktowerpalaver.com. That is the central spoke of the entire wheel of Dark Tower Palaver. It has links for all things Dark Tower Palaver. It has also our show notes, all of our stuff for like March Insanity, which of course is in the books, but everything you need to find for Dark Tower Palaver is over there. Everything Peter's going to read to you later should be linked over there as well. And then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. We just did our May hangout where we talked about Billy Summers yesterday. So that was a lot of fun. For my first reread of Billy Summers.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And then you also have access to our Discord server at any level. You get access to the monthly episodes at any level. Then if you're at the highest level, you can actually co-host an episode with us. So that's a lot of fun. Then if you want to contact the show, you can do that in any number of ways that Peter can let you know with that.
I was kind of... are we good? You okay?
Yes.
Email us. It's show@darktowerpalaver.com. You can also find us on Threads or Instagram. It's Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. What?
Oh, Baraki. Considering what happens at the end of book 4, perhaps sniffing is not the best term when I said sniffing the end of book 4.
Hashtag Baraki is terrible.
That is glorious.
That's
It's dark as hell and grim, and I love it.
Tad's here for it.
That's right up my alley.
Back to our socials. Find us on Blue Sky. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. We're still on Twitter. It's at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And then facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And then check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/users/darktowerpalaver. Get yourself a hashtag Tad is terrible sticker t-shirt.
Slander, of course.
It's not slander, sir. It's been scientifically proven.
Nah.
I'm pretty sure someone won a Nobel Prize for figuring out the essence of evil was you.
Nah. I'm a lovable and endearing character. That's my stance.
I'll give you enduring, but lovable is that's questionable, sir.
All right. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the only other announcement that we have is the schedule changes for June. So actually, funny enough, it ended up being to where both June episodes are going to get delayed a week.
Yeah.
So after next episode, in a fortnight from now, there will be a 3-week break until Roundtable 164, and then a fortnight until the book club for June, and then there will only be a week between that and the Roundtable for July. So everything in June just shifts up a week or back a week.
Yeah. So instead of the 7th and the 21st for episodes, we're going to be looking at the 14th and 28th.
Yeah. So just know there'll be a little bit of a longer break that may be unexpected between May and June, but then June and July will be really
back
fast.
to back.
Yeah, back to back.
Yep.
I'm getting gray hairs thinking about it.
You already have gray hairs.
That's I don't know why, but yeah, weekly is just. We've done it a few times over the years because of like scheduling changes or
also
announcements.
with the movie, I remember we did like 3 weeks in a row one time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know why that just gets. I think you just get so used to the every other week thing and having like a a more relaxing weekend between the episodes where you don't have to worry about prepping a show and all that stuff. And then so suddenly when that's not there, it's it's kind of like when you take vacation and all your work backs up. Like it's nice during your vacation, but then you pay for it on the other side. So we'll get a little bit of a break between the May and June and have a little bit of a longer stretch, but we'll have forgotten that by the time we come around to 2 episodes in a row. All right, so that brings us over to the news. Let's jump on over to the first one. Never Flinch has had its narrator revealed.
About time.
So
Jesse Mueller.
So this is from Simon & Schuster's website. I've been monitoring their website for months, at least a month, if not more now, waiting for when they finally list the narrator for Never Flinch, the audiobook. I didn't check over the weekend last weekend, but Monday morning when I checked, it finally had someone listed. Of course, historically speaking, Will Patton has narrated all but one Holly story, and Justine Lupe filled the role for the most recent book, which is titled Holly. She, of course, played Holly in the Mr. Mercedes TV show. That is up to this point our history of Holly Gibney's narrators. And now we have a new narrator, and it is Jesse Mueller. Jesse is a very successful Broadway star who appears to be extending into the audiobook narration. She's won some Tonys, and she's quite successful on Broadway. So, very interesting. According to Audible, she has one previous audiobook credited to her, which is The Invisible Hour by Alice Hoffman. So if you want to go and do a sample listen to that book, you can kind of get maybe what we're in in store for. I meant to do that, but I have yet to do it. So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm always bummed if it's not Patton.
Yeah,
You know.
even the Justina Lupe, like
With Holly, yeah, I was
like,
bummed about that one too.
that one bummed me a little bit just because Will Patton is the consistency. Now she did a great job, and obviously she played Holly on Mr. Mercedes. So it fits. And honestly, I think this one I'm just it's not that I'm down on this narrator at all. It's more of just that I wish it would have been one of the other two, because again, Justina Lupe has done did a great job with Holly. She's played her on screen before, so maybe she has like a feeling of ownership of the role. And then Will Patton, of course, is every other version of Holly we've ever had.
The big thing with Will Patton also is that when you look at the books that he narrated that has Holly in it, aside from If It Bleeds, they also have a very strong male lead as well.
Yeah.
You could call him a co-star or a supporting actor, if you will, for The Outsider, because you have Ralph and then you also have Hodges.
Yeah.
So having a male with that makes sense, but he also did fantastic for Holly.
Yeah.
But for Holly, there wasn't that male.
Yeah.
So getting the actress who played her in Mr. Mercedes was awesome.
Yeah.
But this one, we don't know where it's going. We don't know the story, except that we got three stories that we're kind of going to be following in it.
Yeah.
And I just looked it up, man. It's only 13 hours.
Are you sure? I thought it was listed at 20 for the longest time. Did they change it?
I'm looking at Audibles right now because I just looked up Jesse Mueller, and it says Never Flinch, 13 hours.
Yeah, it's been listed at 20 hours for a long time. In fact, I was very suspicious of that because it's very strange that it was an exact, 20 as well. It's like not even just like rounded out to the hour, but also it was just a square hour number. And I'm like, I've been
not
suspicious.
13 hours, but it was 20. Exactly 20.
And it just felt like, I hope that's not a place hit filler.
Yeah, I googled Jesse Mueller before you said that, she only has one other Audible credit. And that's where I came, and it says the invisible hour is 7 hours and 44 minutes. So it gives you exact hours and minutes for it, versus this one that just says 13 hours.
Yeah. I'm pulling up Simon & Schuster's here. So, yeah, it shows 13 hours on there as well. So they've definitely updated it. So they must have just had a placeholder. 448 pages. So, yeah, that sounds about right. That's kind of in the Salem's Lot realm, if memory serves. Salem's Lot's about 400 and a half pages, 450-ish pages. So it's about on realm with Salem's Lot. I don't know what Salem's Lot's hour count is, but I'm just off the top of my head, like I don't know if we have a lot of Dark Tower books in the 400. I feel like we go from like 2 something up to like fucking 800. The Dark Tower.
Salem's Lot, 17 hours 36 minutes.
Okay, so maybe it's a little bit longer then. So. Yeah. So that's just one I've been, watching for a bit. If I would have handicapped it up front, I probably would have said my suspicions were Will Patton and Justina Lupe would have had 95% chance between the two of them of being one of those two. It just felt like that was the choice.
Yeah.
And maybe 5% chance it was going to be someone new. Seems like they.
I should have taken that bet.
Yeah, exactly.
You would have given me good odds.
Yeah, indeed. So, that's coming up too. This is our last roundtable until that comes out. So we'll have our next book club on the 24th, and then a few days after that, the book comes out on the 27th. So.
Yeah, and if you want to join our Patreon, we are going to do a Never Flinch deeper dive on Patreon's Hangout for July.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, indeed. Let me see. I think. All right. Let me go to the next one here. We are going over to. There we go. King reading from Never Flinch. So this is. God, where did I have this in my notes? I thought I had it here, but now I'm not finding it. Either way, King posted a video, or I think Simon & Schuster may have posted it, but it's of King sitting on a couch, and he is, God, I swear I had notes on this, and now I am not. Let's see, I'll just do the Control F, and I must have put it out of order here.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Okay.
So it's all over the internet, including on YouTube. I will have a link on the show notes. Also from the last one we covered too, I will have a link in the show notes for the the narrator stuff, like the link to like Simon and Schuster's website, and you can obviously go to like Audible or wherever and purchase it if you'd like to pre-order it. But yeah, so all over the internet this was posted. King reading from it. So over the years we've seen a lot of different times. It's almost pretty standard marketing where they'll release like an excerpt of the book. We've seen it from Vanity Fair, Entertainment Weekly. There's been a number of different publications where they'll get a small snippet of a book, but every so often they actually have Stephen King read the excerpt, and that's what they're doing here. I don't think this is the first one we've ever seen, but this is one that it's not one that we've seen recently. I think the last number of books that have come out, it's always just been an excerpt. What they're doing here, they have King reading it. There will be a link in the show notes if you want to go wet your beak for what is to come with the novel in a few weeks. Secondarily, though, King in the video is wearing a fan-designed Billy Bumbler shirt, seen in the picture.
Awesome.
And also this is actually a fan-made shirt that you could buy on Etsy. I will put the Etsy link in the show notes as well. And it says "World's Best Billy Bumbler." Is that what it is? The streaming software thing is always really small, so it's hard to read. Either way, it's a fan-made one. It's pretty
World's
cool.
Greatest Billy Bumbler.
World's Greatest Billy Bumbler. And then after reading it, King shows off the shirt and says he's been wearing it a lot lately, and says because he is writing Talisman 3. So I think we've pretty much been almost all the way confirmed that he is writing it.
Yeah.
I think there was a slight 5% chance that there was still some wiggle room with the shit he had said where it's like, okay, maybe he's still not fully writing it, but now he overtly said he is fully writing the Talisman 3. And the fact that he is wearing a Billy Bumbler shirt whilst writing said book kind of makes me think what's going on here. And it makes me wonder, of course, because he's now confirmed over the last number of months that the territories and Midworld are one and the same. And I just feel like now connecting Billy Bumblers to the territories kind of gives me the vibe that I don't know, this is going to be very close. Maybe the closest we're ever going to get to another Dark Tower book is this Talisman 3.
Most likely. That's kind of how I've been feeling as well, is that I don't think we're ever going to go fully back into the Dark Tower, but
I wish, but I don't think. I'm with you. If King were 15 years younger, I would probably have some hope, but with where he's at age-wise, I just don't know if he's going to dip his toe back into that. I think he'll write new things, not necessarily go revisit stuff that we would love to see and revisit.
Exactly.
So the only other thing I will say from that, if you go watch the link, because I watched it, but it skipped the actual reading part, because I had seen a screen grab somewhere of this picture I have on the screen. So I knew at some point he really showed off the shirt. And so I was waiting for it, and then he gets ready to start reading, and I'm like, hey, let me just skip ahead till he stops reading. Then I got to this tail end. He does also say, though, I think he referred to it in I think it was Ben Mears. He quotes and says that Ben Mears says that if you talk too much about your ideas, you can kill them. And he said, so because of that, he doesn't want to say too much. And he says he's pretty sure this will be something that we will be able to read, but he says you never know. Sometimes stories crash and burn, and from a writer's perspective, doesn't mean it's not 100% guaranteed it'll come out. Now, King is a machine, so I think he's just giving himself a little bit of an out just in case it doesn't work out well. But honestly, I don't think that happens very often for King. So so I'm just kind of suspicious the fact he's already confirmed they're one and the same, the territories in the Midworld, but now linking Billy Bumblers and saying he's wearing this shirt a lot because he's writing the Talisman 3, I'm like, so are we going to get some Billy Bumblers? Do we know a Billy Bumbler that we're going to see?
Maybe.
Very titillating thought to have here. So I will have the link in the show notes if you want to go watch that. I tend to be one that don't never really hits up those excerpts. I never really read them. I feel like they never really do much for me. They just make me want more. And they're never it's never like a trailer where it shows you big moments. It's always just some, mundane small moment, maybe with a little bit of a tiny hook. But overall, it's just no, I don't want, I don't know, a minute and a half or whatever of reading from it. I'd rather just wait till I have the whole book and can just inject it directly into my veins.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Dean would potentially do.
Jeez.
Oh, man. Cody in the chat says, please be both Talisman and Dark Tower. Yeah, I do have a feeling there's going to be a strong crossover element. Now, I don't necessarily dare to completely hope that we're going to see our quartet. We talked about this, I think, on a previous episode, but I don't think I have enough hope in me to hope that we'll actually see Roland and Eddie and Susanna and Eddie and Jake and Oi I do hope there is some crossover though. I mean, you even mentioned what if we saw someone further on earlier in the timeline, saw like a Stephen Deshane or something. I don't know. But I do have a feeling that this might be like I said, the closest we're ever going to get to a new Dark Tower book, which is kind of cool because, again, I think you and I over the years have talked about the fact that Talisman felt so much like Midworld that it's like, is the territories not Midworld? I mean, I think a lot of us fans over the years have...
We were right there like we think it is.
Yeah, because it just feels so much like it, and it's not like the Talisman is written like so far out of the realm of Dark Tower. Like the first one was written right in the middle of the Dark Tower series being done.
Yeah.
So like nowadays, as books come out, I don't necessarily hope as much that like things will be as Dark Tower connected, because I think since the Dark Tower series closed, I don't think that it's as in front of King's mind. So I don't think that as he's writing Holly or The Institute, I remember The Institute, we remember when we had our first synopsis of that, we were like, oh my God, could this be like Breakers and stuff? But I just feel like King in 2018 probably or so when he wrote Institute, which came out in 2019, I just think he was like, what, at that point, 7 years removed from his last Dark Tower book.
Yep.
So I just don't think it's as fresh in his mind. So I think that like the chances of it potentially crossing over a Dark Tower on, kind of in your random way, like some of the earlier books in his career is less likely, but Talisman, I mean, that's right in the middle of it. And even Black House is like 01 or so, isn't it? So that was...
I got the list pulled up right here.
Yeah, I think Black House is I think it was this century.
Black House is 2001.
Okay. So Black House like was after the accident, but before the quick three burst of the final book. So Dark Tower, he probably would have had those manuscripts at least drafted out, maybe fully written and being edited at that point. So it's like that would have been fresh in his mind as he's doing Black House. So, but yeah, I'm pretty excited to open up the door a little bit more to Midworld.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see where we go. I'm not going to be mad about whatever we get.
Oh,
so.
Agreed. And even the territories I love. Like, I enjoyed those books too. So, like, it's not even like I'm just completely overlooking, like, Jack and, like, the whole premise of the territories and that cool crossover type world, which, again, sounds so much like the Dark Tower. I'm also excited to revisit Jack, see where he's at in his life and see what is afoot.
Yeah.
So, also adding more to this King series, man. Back in the day, I mean, we weren't podcasting back in those days, but I remember when Dr. Sleep was announced, it's like, that is so strange because King just doesn't do sequels.
Not very often, no.
I mean, The Dark Tower doesn't count because that's a series. It was meant to be a series. But it's like, outside of that, think of some of the sequels. Rattlesnakes is brand new. That's a sequel. Dr. Sleep was the thing that really turned us onto it. The Hodges trilogy and then, like, the Holly ones being attached to that. Like, a lot of these series that have come out, the Gwendy stuff is all more recent. Like, King has gotten more series-oriented in his later life here than he ever was in the early days. In the early days, I don't even think people hoped that, like, oh, we might get a Shining sequel or an It sequel. Like, that wasn't even a thing that people thought. He was just one that kind of tended to move on.
Time for a new story.
And you'd see Easter eggs with stuff. You'd see, Derry showing up in different books or whatever. But you didn't necessarily have sequels. But suddenly in this last 15 or so years, it feels like sequels have been coming fairly regularly.
You got the Hodges trilogy. You got Dr. Sleep and everything. So... And then The Outsider is tacks onto the Hodges trilogy. Then you got
If it bleeds, yeah.
And then even Holly and now Never Flinch. So.
Yeah, 3 Gwendy books, which I know he's only half responsible for. Yeah. But there's just, he's just done a lot of, like, follow-ups.
All of those are post-2011. So.
Yeah. Because, Went Through the Keyhole and Dr. Sleep was 2013. I always think 2012, but 2013 is what our list says there. So, it's pretty interesting. We'll have to be on the lookout. My hope is late next year. I'm not going to hold my breath, but the way that King writes, we're not George R.R. Martin fans on this podcast. Now, I'm not saying that we're not a fan of his, but this isn't a George R.R. Martin podcast, thank God, because then we don't have to worry about someone that might maybe in 15 years we'll get this book to actually come out. I mean, no, we know it's King.
It's been longer than that now, hasn't it?
Probably. I think that there was one published during the course of the show, and I think it was early in the show. And it was the final 2 books they expected. They thought they would publish as the show went on, but of course they have not.
No, I'm not wrong. It's I am wrong. It's A Dance with Dragons is released in 2011. So
which
we're 15 years next year. So.
Yeah. So, but we're not that way here. King is an absolute monster and just.
Oh my God! I didn't realize
crazy.
the first Game of Thrones was published in 1991.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that far back. Holy fuck!
Yeah, indeed. Speaking of series, this is kind of Flanagan Corner. I guess it's kind of Flanagan, but it's kind of an interesting write up on the potential of the Flanagan series. So I put it in the Flanagan Corner here, and this is titled "The Dark Tower series could look to another Stephen King television project for inspiration," and it's by Lucy Owens from Game Rant on April 26, 2025. So she starts out by saying that with Flanagan adaptations, we might finally, or with Flanagan adapting, we might finally get an adaptation of this book series deserves. She says that the series might want to borrow a trick or two from another King screen property, Castle Rock.
Okay.
So she then goes on to rightly say the series is one of the most complex adaptations in modern genre stories, which, not even just King, but genre stuff in general. This is not going to be an easy thing to adapt.
I mean, it's the thing that we've been talking about, right? Where do you classify this?
Yeah.
How do you describe The Dark Tower when you talk to someone who hasn't read it?
Yeah. I mean, even like, where would you put it in the genres? Like, if it really came down to like putting things in boxes, like what genre would you, because like I think a lot of us will do like a burst of genres, so it's like Western, horror, sci-fi,
fantasy.
like fantasy, like it's like this burst of things, but it's like that's not really fair to just take half of the genres and say that, like
it's all of these and more, like there's even comedy mixed in with it, you know?
Certainly there is,
like what do you do? Baraki, Dark Tower, Palaver. Yes,
yeah, exactly. Dark Tower's genre, yes.
If I had to put it in one, I would call it a Western.
Western?
More than anything, I would say that we spend time in the desert. We spend time in the Kala. We spend time in Magus. Those three are such prevalent times. Not to mention Book 2, the entire of it is just the sea.
Yeah.
You know, very maybe not Westernish, but I mean, it's still not, fantasy or sci-fi. Real, I mean, more sci-fi because of the doors and everything, but you don't know. So
I think I would, if I had to pin one, I would say fantasy. I'm not saying you're wrong. I would just go fantasy because I think that one is just as broad. Like, none of them are perfect, but it's just as broad, where it's like, if you look at the fantasy elements of the doorways into our world, Jake coming from
orbs,
the
Dark Tower itself,
I mean,
the breakers, all of that's fantasy.
But none of it is a perfect fit. Like, this just defies definition, really.
It's just so weird because, like, you think fantasy and you got the Dark Tower, like literally the picture you have on the screen. You have the Dark Tower. It's the nexus of the universe, and it's like, it's fantasy. And then you have a cowboy.
Yeah.
And then there's just a fucking cowboy.
Yeah.
He's got a 6-shooter, for God's sakes, and he looks like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, and we got Seven Samurai. We got,
you got
AI trains, all kinds of crazy. This series is batshit.
It is fucking nuts.
It is straight batshit. And Stephen King showing up in it, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not even get out of the realm of meta, because like,
it's beyond that. It's the next step beyond that.
This is an interesting series.
The Guardians, the old ones, the Gates. Yeah, Baraki makes a good point. There is plenty of sci-fi.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that
Dogans,
a lot of that could fit into like
Andy the robot, the wolves.
Yeah.
All of that is
the fantasy. I think could fit into a lot of the old stuff too. Like, that feels very like fantasy realm.
The demons, what's the space between
speaking demons, Todash
darkness.
King Arthur, for God's sake.
Our Knights of Eld, Arthur Eld. And his sword Excalibur. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and bestiality with Ermont.
Burning a witch at the stake.
Yeah, witches are in here. I mean, vampires.
Yeah,
like there's a lot going on.
There's
in this series.
so much going on in this series.
I don't know if you can necessarily go full on and say like werewolf, but went through the keyhole. You got like a shape-shifting
monster
beast. Yeah, so you got beastie stuff going on.
That's in the same vein as werewolves. It's a no for me, dog.
Oh, but you like Saint Bernards. I don't get it.
They're not werewolves. They're dogs.
No, but they're beasts.
I love Alaskan Malamutes too.
Yeah.
And German Shepherds and freaking Mastiffs and
they haven't attacked Tads though, so they're not as beastie.
What if the Saint Bernard was replaced? What if it was a Husky instead of a Saint Bernard?
I don't think you could replace it. I thought about that with the new one that they just announced with Netflix. I'm like, Do you think they could like go nuts and like grab like there's some newer breeds that are like
Yeah.
massive fucking breeds.
What's the wolfhound one? The Irish wolfhound or something like
The
that?
ones that
It's
sit like 3.5 like something
they
feet
sit.
up.
They sit and they're literally as high as me right now.
Yeah.
Like
dogs, and I just wondered, but I'm like, no, you just can't. Like, I feel like the
Saint Bernard.
Saint Bernard's just too iconic.
the best part about it is that when Cujo came out and everything, and then we have Beethoven. The movie is the same dog.
Yeah.
Plays Beethoven and Cujo. It's amazing.
Well, when there is a real dog, because a lot of Cujo was a person in a suit.
Was a person in a suit.
But,
Yeah.
although I'm going to say, if they are going to change the new Cujo, Chihuahua. Let's go.
Just punt that fucking
Let's go
thing.
with the most vicious breed there is.
No.
Dude, they're actually
They
legitimately
are
one of the
legit
most-
mean, but again, if I can punt it, it's not scary. What's scary about Cujo is that a Saint Bernard can take you down. Bull Mastiff, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Thanks, Baraki.
Yeah, there's a couple breeds that are just like I'd never heard about as a kid. I used to have a book that was 300-400
Mm-hmm.
pages long of like all the different dog breeds, and I feel like they've like invented dog breeds since I was a kid. And there's been a few that I've discovered where it's like holy shit, and they're massive. Like so, it's wild.
What is the biggest dog breed? Is the English Mastiff. Can weigh up to 230 pounds.
Yeah, that's insane. All right, tangents aside.
Jesus, 230 pounds?
Yeah, Baraki says pit bulls, but they're not that big.
No.
No, but vicious indeed. And I know some people are really into like pit bulls, and they get mad when you like quote unquote slander them. But I will say one of my all time favorite jokes is a kid is out surfing and he starts to drown, and a pit bull sees it and swims all the way out there just to bite the kid. Oh,
Jeez, Dad.
it's so funny. It's absurd humor. I love absurd humor, and the absurdity of a dog like swimming a half a mile out to bite a child is hilarious to me.
Pitbull with rabies. Shudder. Baraki says.
Indeed, because they are just muscle, right? You look at
Yeah.
them. You look at them as a breed. They're very built.
They are.
So-
They are solid. Baraki did ask a question in the chat before we get off our tangents. He did ask if you've read Eyes of the Dragon yet. I did answer and say, I know that you haven't.
Yeah.
And the reason why is
Yeah.
because...
It's the last flag.
That's true.
It's so there's just an element of like it's also like one of my favorite book series outside of Stephen King is the Hannibal Lecter series, and there was the Genius NBC show that ended up getting canceled, but they did 3 seasons, and the final season was Red Dragon that they did.
Yeah.
Red Dragon is my favorite book of the Hannibal Lecter trilogy, or there's multiple books, more than trilogy now. But
Originally, it was a trilogy.
originally 2001 the third book came out, so.
Yeah.
In my era, it was a trilogy. For
I mean, that was high school for you, so that counts.
Exactly. So, so for me, I always loved Red Dragon. It's my favorite story, but I have yet to watch that 3rd season because there's a part of me that's like the second I watch that season,
It's done.
it's done. Like I know that's probably not a healthy way to look at things, but there is just part of me where it's like,
Learn to let go, you must.
no, I don't listen to Force Goblins. The Jedi are good
We
at
don't have Yoda on our soundboard. We need Yoda on our soundboard.
the Jedi are good at failure, and I'm not into that. So, all right, off the tangent stuff. Let's jump on into the rest going on here. It's a massive metaphysical and deeply connected to the entire Kingverse. She brings up Flanagan's past adaptations, pointing out that he has proven when it comes to bringing psychological horror to screen, he can hack it. He can do it. Especially compared to the film that trimmed down so much, the Dark Tower film that trimmed down so much of what makes the series special into a 95-minute Sony movie, which that was my wording there, 95-minute Sony movie, because I feel like that encapsulates it perfectly,
It
doesn't
does.
it? Like I feel like if there's like one studio that when I see a trailer, I'm sitting in a movie theater, a trailer comes on, I'm just like, there's nothing in that looks interesting to me. 9 out of 10 times when the fucking studio thing comes up, it's Sony. Almost every time. Now, I'll give it 1 out of 10 times that it's someone else, and kid movies don't count, or chick flick. Not that I see a lot of those trailers because I don't see the movies that cross over with those. But, those are usually where I'm like, how did this even get made? Then it's like Sony. I'm like, I see. I understand now. She then goes on to talk about Castle Rock, which did not adapt a single King novel. Instead, it pulled from dozens of them, using King's Town of Castle Rock as a sandbox for a new story that was seeping in Kingian lore, which that's a fun thing to say, Kingian lore.
It is.
That's a good band name, too.
Kingian lore.
Kingian lore.
We're Kingian lore, and we're here to rock.
It told an original story that nodded to Misery, It, Rita Hayworth, and Shawshank Redemption. No, the other. The Dead Zone, Salem's Lot, and more. So I it's like biting tinfoil to not say the Shawshank Redemption. It's unnatural. King was wrong there.
Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption.
What's that?
Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption.
Yes, but there's no the in the novel.
No, it's just
It's just Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. So I'm like, Frank Darabont fixed the mistake there by
the
adding
Shawshank
yeah. So then she lists what Castle Rock got right. She highlights that remix storytelling. The show didn't retell stories; it reimagined them. It stitched together references and characters into something that was new, but still felt deeply King. Psychological depth. Episodes like The Queen use time and memory as a narrative device, giving horror emotional weight. And of course, time and memory are things that King plays with a lot too. So, that felt very King. Crossover character arcs. Season 2 introduces Annie Wilkes, played by Lizzie Kaplan from Misery, in a compelling prequel origin, making her both sympathetic and terrifying. Nostalgia factor. Episodes like Past Perfect, Season 1, Episode 9, leaned into the haunted house horror reminiscent of 1408. Mythology building, The World, Season 2, Episode 9, tapped into Salem's Lot's mythology by tying in vampirism and small-town decay. Expansive tone and genre, the show played with genres from psychological horror and mystery to small-town drama and sci-fi, reflecting King's own masterful tonal shifts. And then layered structure. Characters and storylines slowly reveal themselves to be connected, often metaphysically across timelines and realities. The writers heightened the suspense by carefully doling out information within the larger narrative. So that's kind of what she highlights about Castle Rock. She then recaps why the film didn't work, the Dark Tower film didn't work, and she wrongly, in my opinion, says the film's greatest sin is it attempted to condense a sprawling multi-book epic into a single feature film, which is a very common criticism, and I call absolute bullshit on it, because anyone that watched the movie and will be fair to it and remember, it was meant to be the start of something.
Because they left it where Jake and Roland are off.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean that it tried to condense it all? No, they were supposed to. It didn't do well, so they didn't make more.
Just like, that'd be like saying like, Firefly, just kind of failed because, they tried to build this great old universe and then they ended it after one season. It's like, no, you can't say that. They got canceled. Like,
Joss Whedon and Fox had issues and that's why it got canceled. That's not because the show did bad.
But this is not unique to her. I've seen this repeatedly online constantly. It's like this revisionist thing that they're trying to apply to it, where it's like, oh, they tried to capture the whole series in one movie, and it's like, that was never the intention. Like, so I don't know. I just, to be fair to the film, if you're going to be fair to it, it was never its intention to recap the whole thing. Now, did they reveal more than we found out in the books, grab stuff from later books and revealed it? Yes, they did. But I don't think that it was ever their intention to be a standalone singular film. That was never their design or intention. Because I believe if they would have, you would have seen Eddie and Susanna in it. If the intention were to just like do the impossible and make this in how many thousands of pages of books into a single movie, it probably would have been a 3-hour movie and you would have had at least all of the main characters. I don't know how that would have worked, but it wouldn't have been as abridged as the film was. So, so it was a jumping off point, but then the box office, it was a box office failure, so that was the end of it. So, that was one critique I have of how she spells it out here. She says the film was inconsistent with its tone, moving from young adult fantasy feel to gritty action, and never really committing to either, and I think that is a fair criticism. And even the filmmakers have said that. We saw, over the last year or so, both I just blanked on
Nikolai
Arcel and Akiva Goldsman have both had interviews in the last year or so where they talked about, like, there was just too many cooks. Like, there was too many cooks in the kitchen and nobody really there was no singular vision, and I think that shows, and that's where you get that kind of thing where it's like you got different tones that are fighting against each other. And
we need more action. Have a shootout.
Yeah. But Jake's your central character that you're going to introduce this whole world through, so it kind of feels young adult at the same time. So she says that Roland and Jake's relationship was rushed, which I think we said that back in 2017, how if they had just added like maybe 5, 10, maybe 15 more minutes to the film and fleshed out some things, namely this relationship, the film probably would have worked better. I think I just remember saying that, where it's like it wouldn't have even taken that much. You don't even need to like double the runtime. But it's like,
because we have the gunslinger Creed with them, which was an amazing scene. If you add a couple more things before that, you make that scene mean even more.
Yeah.
I think that's something that either we said or someone said.
We talked about it. And when we broke down the
makes
movie
sense.
for over a year, that we really talked about it, I mean, to one extent or another. And I do think that is one thing that was pretty consistent even from the get-go, is it's like, dude, 5 or 10 more minutes, and you could have fleshed out, like, the Jake and Roland thing a little bit more, and it would have just felt that much better, because it did feel a little bit abridged. So,
Yeah.
she says the major themes like obsession, time, and the nature of reality were stripped away in favor of bland exposition. Again, not untrue. Ultimately, trying to appeal to everyone, and then resonating with no one, which that's fair.
That's a
too.
big problem with a lot of adaptations. Is like, well, we need to pull in non-book fans as well.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't. If you make the book into a movie, the people who are fans will see it. The people who like movies of this type will see it. I don't get that. I don't get that logic where they're like, well, we have to take this very specific type of book and make it for everyone. No.
I mean,
If you're doing that, then go make something else.
Well, I think you need to appeal to as wide of audience as you can, but I think there is part of it where you look at, like, Game of Thrones, for instance. I want to use that, or Dune, as examples of two things that have been massively successful being niche things before. They were niche books with very limited, very nerdy people that were fans, but that have been able to, like, become massive things. And what you did is you understood that, like, the people that got it understood there's something here, and if we stay true to that and expose it to a larger audience, they will see the appeal that all these others have,
Right.
and they're going to love it. So to a small extent, you should don't ignore things from a movie because you know the people that are watching have read it and they'll know how to fill in the blanks. Don't do that.
No.
That's all I'm saying. Is there's a small nuance between what you're saying, what they tried.
No, and that's what I'm saying is, like, you don't have to change the entire tone of the book. Is what I'm saying.
Correct.
And
Yes,
that's where
I
a lot
agree.
of them fail, is that they well, we need to make this more for everyone, and it's
Yeah.
like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't. You don't have to make $500 billion on this movie. That's the thing.
And you're never going to.
And that's
right?
and you're not going to. And that's
Yeah.
the thing that I feel like a lot of these studios, especially Sony, feels like when they do adaptations, they swing and miss because they're trying to do that.
Yeah.
They're trying to do the next MCU. They're trying to do the next Hunger Games. They're trying to do the next.
They're not innovating,
Harry
they're
Potter.
copying. They're copying, not
trying.
innovating.
They're trying to copy, but they don't have.
They do it shittily.
They do it very badly.
Yeah, they do it very badly.
Because the problem is that, okay, if you're going to make Marvel more susceptible to everyone, great, just make a good movie.
yeah.
That should be the formula. Is like, okay, take this source material and make a good movie.
Yeah.
If you don't make a good movie, people don't like it. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. No, agreed. I was just giving the slight nuance of, like, you do want to make sure you don't, like, leave people out in
Yes.
favor of the fans,
No.
but you do need to make sure that, like, or you do need to trust that, like, if you're going to adapt something, you're trusting that, like, the fans that it has know that there's something there, and that will scale when you expose, like, Game of Thrones, and like there's been some others, but, like, as the show came out, it grew in popularity every single year, and it's like probably midway through season 1, you had probably almost doubled the fandom of that world because the book audience was this side. Lord of the Rings, the other great example.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of millions of people that were turned on to that story through those movies. They had never touched a Tolkien book. Some of them probably never touched it after.
But they didn't change the essence of Lord of the Rings. They didn't make Gandalf a 35-year-old hulky man, you know?
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, they didn't have Chris Hemsworth play. Exactly. No, that's exactly what I'm talking
hey there,
about.
Bilbo. You want to go pump some iron?
Should we go on an adventure to the gym, brah? You know, like, no, like exactly. That's what I'm saying is, like, if you take something and you're going to adapt it, I understand there's going to be changes.
Yeah.
And I understand that you're going to make it to where it's a wider audience and stuff like that. It's not going to be shot for shot. And no one should ever expect that. And the people who do, those book lovers who are offended when they leave out one scene, but it happens to be their favorite scene from the book, they just like, this is unwatchable. And it's just like, come on. Like, like, relax a little bit. I actually started rewatching The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going back to season 1. I watched half of episode 1 this morning. And what I took away with, because I played the video game now, since watching the first season, is that they changed things.
Yeah.
but they made it better.
Yeah.
They added more. There's the whole watch gift for Joel from his daughter.
Yeah.
In the video game, she just gives it to him.
Yeah.
In the show, she goes and gets it fixed, and you see the city start to fall apart around her. Like the shop closes early, and you see cop cars go past and everything.
Yeah.
But the city's still functioning.
Yeah.
So it's really it really was like, oh, they did good making a change. And I feel like that's the hard thing, is that you have to make good changes, not include everyone changes.
There's the what's his name, Bill episode was entirely invented. I mean, there's hints in the game.
In the game, yes.
But like it's not, whatever. It's they didn't spend, you didn't really
You see none of his backstory.
No.
None of that. All he says is that he has a partner.
Frank, right?
Frank. He has
and
a partner.
You never
Frank.
see Frank in the games. He's already dead.
Yeah, you
right?
see his corpse.
Well, yeah, he's dead though. Like you don't see like their story at all. So
no, you don't.
yeah. So with the slight nuance I gave, I agree. Like, but there is an element of like trust your material, and I think that's what the MCU has proved. Is like all the comic book movies over the years that have failed. It's because they've tried to like. They were almost ashamed of the source material, and it's like, well, this will never play.
X-Men.
Yeah.
What do you expect me to wear? Yellow spandex? Yes.
Yeah.
It's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
That is the example that proves exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is understanding your source material, understanding your target audience.
Yeah.
And okay, if there's people who aren't going to see it because they're wearing yellow spandex, oh my God. So what?
Yeah, who cares?
Like that's the 0.05% that are going to be turned off because they're wearing real superhero costumes, just like in the comics.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd rather have the 90% that are going to come see it because Wolverine has the costume.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she goes on to say that with television you could avoid all of these issues because obviously television's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
And I remember us even in the lead up into the movie saying that like we wanted to see like Roland on the big screen and stuff, like so it was like whatever, but also we both equally accepted it even before the film came out that this would probably be better as a TV series. Like I just this source material is just begging for a series. So.
Yeah.
She then rightly calls the series the gravitational center of the Kingverse, and points out how some of the that there are some crossover characters as well as stories that cross over the Dark Tower. I would say it's the linchpin of the entire Kingverse, right? Like it's the if you've got the buffet of foods of the King's universe, Dark Tower is the plate. That it all sits on, in my opinion. Like I think it's the most connective. It's the biggest connective tissue of all of these things. Now there are some other things that connect to each other and don't include the Dark Tower, but the thing that really links a lot of stuff, like if you were doing like 6 degrees of Dark Tower, is going to be one of your biggest tools.
It is
as you connect these.
I mean, the big thing is that it's different levels of the tower. That's what we've always talked about. Is that okay? To explain the Kingverse is that this door of the tower goes to Salem's Lot, where there's vampires.
Yeah.
But this door of the tower goes to Salem's Lot, and vampires don't exist.
Cycle of the werewolf, where there's werewolves.
Exactly.
Yeah, I heard that pause there.
I mean, you said the W word, so I had to pause.
Also, Wolfman is now on Peacock, by the way.
I know.
So you know.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Actually, one of my friends posted she's starting to watch horror movies with her niece, who's 11. And I suggested
it's
Wolfman.
a little old, but it works out.
I suggested Wolfman because looking back on it, like there's some gruesomeness with like the changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's no nudity, there's no sex, there's hardly any swearing either.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a bad horror film to get some kids started out with, and I'm tempted to have my daughter watch it.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That one's like kind of like Gremlins, or
is that the series or is there a movie?
There's a
now?
movie.
Okay.
There's a movie. Yeah, it came out in 2019, I think.
Okay.
And it was like there's like some of those like gateway horror, and I think Child's Play fits in that too. There's ones that like they almost feel like they're like slightly made for kids, but they are still horror.
Yeah.
And it's like the gateway drug, and like that was essentially made out of the gate. They're like, we know there's movies like this, and that's what we were attempting to do. Poltergeist, another one. That one's just
exactly.
That one's just made for like a younger kid to watch and then be fucking freaked out.
Goosebumps. Yeah, Baraki.
Goosebumps.
Welcome, Carol. Glad to see you.
Yeah, welcome. But that's a good one. As Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Okay.
For gateway horror. So then she goes on to talk about this is where Castle Rock could offer some inspiration, as the series played with multiple realities and timelines, as well as layered character arcs and thematic echoes. Also, she mentions how some of the episodes drop you into a disorienting narrative space, and then as the episode progresses, clarity comes to the viewer, which, does that not just sound like Stephen King?
Yes.
Dropping you in the middle of something, you don't know what the fuck's going on, and then it becomes more clear as time. I mean, even Billy Summers, to a slight extent, like, there's like an element of that story you don't understand until the book really is played out almost, right? Like, there's larger things at play that you're not aware of until...
Yeah.
3/4 of the way through the book. So she says how the Dark Tower could do similar and have some non-linear episodes that represent shifting realities, alternate timelines, and echoes of Ka. What immediately comes to mind for me is because this is me pausing from her, what she's saying, to say one thing that comes to mind to do non-narratively, the shuffle chapter. The shuffle chapters. Imagine doing that like a whole episode where it's just you're fading in and out. There's not like a cohesive linear story, but it's literally an episode where you're just literally bouncing around time with Withdrawal Eddie and Roland that's poisoned to all fuck, and you're just
fever and blacking out.
The whole
everything,
episode's like a fever dream. Like that.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. That would be really cool.
Makes you wonder at the end how much of it was real, what was fake.
Exactly. Like, leave it to a spot and maybe even do some things to where it's like obvious to the audience that that can't be real.
Yeah.
To the point where after the episode's over, you're like, I don't know what of that was real and what wasn't.
Yeah.
And the characters would be that way too. They would be like, they may even talk about it in the next episode where it's like, did we see a glowing woman on the water? Like, whatever, just random thing I just thought of. But it's like, and like,
was there a dragon over there? Pretty sure there was.
It's like, Eddie, did you find some heroin?
No.
You're seeing dragons? She says that Flanagan could introduce characters like Callahan or references, or could introduce characters like Callahan or references to Pennywise, not just as Easter eggs, but as narrative anchors to tie the show to parallel worlds. She then talks about how Flanagan could explore the fall of Gilead in largely flashback handful of episodes, much like Haunting of Bly Manor, which is largely told in like people going around talking about things that happened in the past. Like, so you could do something like that for the fall of Gilead, where it's like you're having flashback episodes or whatever.
I do want to comment there. You got to be careful, because that's one thing that we've talked about for years on this show, is that yes, we want to reference Pennywise, but Pennywise belongs to Warner Brothers, and if this is not a Max show,
you don't have to show him.
No, but if you make a reference to him, you still can't.
No, you can
overtly. You can't just come out and say Pennywise. That's copyrighted material.
You don't have to say it directly.
No, but if you
like
say,
Daredevil when Fisk says the guy dressed like a spider,
yes,
you get away with that.
Yes,
so.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You have to be careful, though. You can't just overtly reference things that are under other companies.
Honestly, you wouldn't want to anyway. Overt references are like kind of boring.
And if you do it 6 or 7 times, it's going to be like
you want the ones where you have to like Leo meme it, where it's like if you know type thing, right?
Like someone pulls out a map and there's dairy on there or something like that. Like that's how you do it.
Yeah,
it's something like that. You don't just be like, man, this reminds me of that time I read about the clown murders up in Maine. No, that's not how you do it.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't say clown. You would just say, like, I read about this town in Maine that has a really high death rate or something like that.
And like when you're in the Wolves of the Calla, it's like, man, this reminds me of this town up in New England that just all the kids kept disappearing.
Yeah, I don't even remember the name of the town
I don't even remember the name of the town.
Yeah. So then she goes on to say that Roland and Jake's backstory in the first book could be told simultaneously through a dual timeline format for an episode. Or, no, I'm just going to pause and say that's fucking genius. Roland's backstory and Jake's New York backstory from the first book. Imagine those like in a Godfather 2 style, where the episodes literally just bounce between young Roland and young Jake, or Jake's New York side, and you have a full episode where it's just that.
With what side of Roland?
Roland is a boy, like his trial of manhood and that kind of stuff, and then Jake in New York. Just cross-cut those.
The flashbacks in book 1.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And cross-cut
Hacks,
that. Yeah.
And all that. Okay.
And cross-cut that with Jake's New York, like what does school look like? What's him getting bullied, and then like up to the point of his death, and Roland like achieving his guns. Like make that an episode where it's like Godfather 2, and you're just cutting back and forth between.
Yeah.
That'd be a really cool parallel.
And then the end of the episode is Roland falling down at the way station, and out of the shadows comes Jake.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's the introduction of Jake right there.
Yeah. That's a really cool thought that she has. She also says, Susanna's internal duality could be played visually through split narratives. That'd be an interesting, almost do like the
Smeagol and Golem.
Yeah, something like that.
One's looking one way, smiling. The other one's looking the other way, frowning.
Or like yeah, exactly. And that's what you'd ultimately have to do is kind of the and like they did such a great job of that where it's like you could tell which one was which just by looking at them. And I think the actor's got to be able to do the same thing with Susanna.
Yeah,
is you need to know immediately
what
by
Detta
looking if it's Detta and Odetta. And I think because like I feel like that's the way it is in my mind in the book too. Like I feel like immediately when they wake up they could look and know exactly who she is.
Yeah,
there's no mystery. Like and I just imagine
no. There's actually a line where Eddie wakes up, rolls over, and looks at her, and he says even before she opened her mouth, his heart fell.
Yeah,
and, it's still me, gray meat.
Yeah, and I think that, like I just imagine like a snarl, like there's just like a grimacing snarl when she's Odetta or when she's Detta, and then when it's Susanna, it's more of like or when it's Detta or Odetta, it's more of just like a relaxed.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
It's more of like a relaxed, almost
warm.
like passe, warm.
Yeah.
And I trust that whatever actor they get is going to be able to do a great job. But I think that's going to be the key, though, is the audience should be able to know without a single syllable being uttered which one you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And they did that great with Smeagol, and I think a lot of that. Well, there was some computer animation that helped with that, but I do think there was a good part of it that was Andy Serkis's performance too.
Spider.
Oh,
that's a big ass spider on your roof, dude. I'm going to be keeping an eye on him.
Oh, it'll disappear.
Yeah, of course.
So she says the key difference from the show to the movie is patience. It can unfold slowly where the film had to rush a lot of world building. She says that the show could have handled various characters with the care they deserve, similarly to how Castle Rock handled Annie Wilkes or the kid as complex, evolving, and tied to broader themes. Also, just a note, the kid is not the kid from The Stand.
Oh, different kid. Okay.
Yeah, it's a different character called the kid, played by Skarsgård.
I've watched season 1
you did
of
watch
Castle
season
Rock.
1. Okay.
Not season 2.
Yeah, you should check that out.
It's on the list, dude. I got too much to watch.
She says that Roland could be more than a human figure and could be humanized through backstory and moral conflict even early on. Jake can be used to explore the ideas of a fractured timeline, echoing the nonlinear storytelling of Castle Rock. Susanna and her dual identities can be used as a platform for layered character studies, especially through Flanagan's proven lens of emotional horror.
Yeah.
And Flag could be used to used as a slow burn, building up and reinforcing his reoccurring villainy in the Kingverse, which that's nonsense. He's not a villain. But
absolutely he is.
It's always sad to see slander from other people than you. It's terrible. She then talked about how the tower is one of the most important elements, both as a real structure and a metaphysical symbol, and that the show will require more than visual effects and set design, but it needs to have atmosphere, suggestion, and emotional weight. She then points out Castle Rock excelled at this. The town of Castle Rock felt haunted, not because of jump scares, but because of the history and what it represented. She says this is how Flanagan can use the tower and an ever-present idea that shapes the world around it, letting it be mysterious, something whispered about and dreamt of. And if handled correctly, it could be the heartbeat that is the driving force of the show. Which I think, I agree with that. Would you want to see the tower before you get to Dandelo's hut? Which would be season... I don't know what.
I think there's ways that you could do it where you see the tower before. I mean, show it to me in the Rose. Yeah. There's no reason not to show the tower there in that scene in the deli's, rubble and everything like that.
Yeah,
there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't see it.
Also, you guys in the chat, you guys chime in too. I'm just curious what because I think there is part of me that when you get to Dandelo's hut and there's just a fucking Polaroid of it, I just remember I was taken almost hit as much in the gut by that as Roland was, because it's like this mysterious thing that we've been looking forward to for this entire series. Suddenly it's just a Polaroid on this guy's fucking fridge. It was just so disorienting, same as it was for Roland.
But that's not the only time we see the tower, though. We do see the tower in the Rose. They see the field of roses and they see the tower. Eddie does, Roland does, and Jake does. It's actually something I noted down during my last reread with those three seeing it, because it's it is something that changes Eddie. it changes Eddie on a fundamental level when they go town dash in book 5.
I think
he sees it.
in the glass too, there's a potential to show it there, but I almost wonder if you do it.
Oh, in Wizard and Glass when Roland looks into it.
Yeah, I think there's a way to do it as a more of a vague thing though, where you don't really give the audience enough of it.
Yeah.
Give it like I don't even know if it's just like you're super zoomed in and it's just like you could just see like a slight part of it, but you never see its full grandeur until late on. I don't know, because the movie showed it obviously, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite shots of the movie. But there is part of me that wonders if you take the wind out of the sails a little bit by revealing it too soon.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I could get both ways. I could get behind both of them. That's my opinion. Is I think that it could be, as long as it's done right.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to build it up and then have it be a disappointment because it is just a black tower.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have an eye burning on the top of it or anything like that.
No.
So it's like, what are your expectations? And then when you finally get there, 5, 6, 7 seasons in, and there's a tower.
But that's where you got to build it up story-wise to where no matter what, if it is just a black tower, it's still a matter of like that's your ultimate desire, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then she closed out by saying what we have covered at length for years, why Flanagan's track record for both King projects and not is promising for this adaptation. She then says that if Flanagan handles everything well, like Castle Rock did, this could be more than a good adaptation. It could be the definitive King series. Yeah. So, yeah, indeed. Carol says very vaguely in the Rose, especially early is a good idea. Got to become a tower junkie somehow. And then that's maybe part of what you got to do. You maybe have to reveal it a little bit. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I think you show it in the Rose, and then you don't show it again. I mean, that's season 1, 2 with Jake.
Yeah.
And then you don't show it again until they go back for the Rose again. When
probably season 2. So I think season 1 is going to be books 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So I think when you get into book 3, I think you're going to be into the second season or so. So. Baraki says, I think it would be be good and important to show the tower early as it is the goal, but do not reveal the scale of the thing until the end. Let that be the reveal. And I think that's that's an interesting thing. And maybe you even do it in a way where it is so vague where you can only get small glimpses of it, not the full thing. And then also you don't see the full field of roses until because even the picture wouldn't fully convey that with Dandolo. It is until Roland crests that hill that you see the full fucking majesty of the field of roses.
You start seeing like a rose here, a rose there. They start getting more frequent. Then he comes up over that hill and boom.
Yeah. Indeed. Robert says when Roland explains the beams drawing in the dirt. I think that I don't know. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% saying you should not show it. I just wonder that cause I just remember again just that feeling as a reader being like, yeah, we've had some hints of the tower throughout, but like that reveal was just so disorienting.
But
it's like
I said, we did see it. It's just that it wasn't long drawn out. Oh my God, there's the Dark Tower. It was, there's the field of roses, and then there was the tower, and then Susanna started screaming, and you're instantly pulled back because that's when she sees the vagrant dead, and everything. So it's like you do that,
and Flanagan doing that.
Oh yeah,
the vagrant dead.
Oh, absolutely no, and that's exactly what you do is you distract the audience from it. But there is a shot of the tower there.
Yeah.
And maybe you get a hint of its majesty, but not but like
I think scale. Yeah.
Yeah, who was it that said that the scale is not revealed? Baraki. Exactly. That's what you do is you wait until the end and
like this picture on the screen right now. Never show more than like that. Like you're seeing the base of the tower in those visions.
Or the shadow of it falls over
maybe the
over
shadow
them and stuff like that. You just make it vague, yeah.
Yeah, and even maybe Dandolo's picture is like a shot of it from like that Roland would see, but maybe even that's not a great shot. You don't even get the full majesty of it until
like
Roland's there. Yeah, it's a little bit like a shitty photographer that didn't scale.
Using a fucking Polaroid.
Yeah, using a Polaroid. So it's
I mean it's not a Polaroid in the book, but
I mean, yeah, it's a printed picture. I guess I just assume Polaroid because like that makes most sense. Other than like I don't know how Dandolo would get shit developed, so I just assumed it was a Polaroid. So, yeah. I
don't like that the spider crawled over above me. He's right here.
Oh yeah,
he's gone all over the ceiling. This is fucking nerve wracking. It is just a jumping spider, so it's not like I'm in danger of getting
Yeah,
poison.
we have no spiders in Utah that are that
No.
dangerous. Like, yeah, black widows will make you sick. They're not
I
gonna kill
had
you.
a conversation with someone who was like terrified of black widow. He's like, "Oh, they're so deadly," and I'm like, "We haven't had a death from a black widow in the United States since like 1986."
Yeah.
And it was a baby that got.
We had
bit
a. I think in my there's a gecko cage downstairs. There was
Yeah.
a black widow in there, but it was not colored right. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember if the spot was a different color, but then I looked it up and I'm like, 'cause maybe it was like a blue spot or something, blue instead of red.
Oh, okay.
And I looked it up and it was like, yeah, there's a breed of black widows that are
Oh.
not. And I was like, so that was a black widow. It was caught, or no, it had caught a bug that was put in there to feed the gecko, and it caught it. And I was like, oh, that's fun. All right, so that is that. I thought it was just a fun thing as well.
Yeah,
as
it's fun.
If nothing else, nerding out on the tower and then plugging Castle Rock. Castle Rock's a good.
Yeah.
You want to go get it or something
No, I just want to take a picture.
to send it to your wife?
Yeah, this is the second spider I've had today.
Well, it is that time of year.
I was driving and there was one on my fucking window.
Oh,
on my
okay.
driver's side window. I just crawled down the driver's side window. I got a picture of that one too. So maybe it's me.
Yeah, it could
I'm
be.
king of the spiders.
Uh,
Spider, attack!
let's.
Nope, I can't give him command still. So I'm not Spider-Man. Hey, Hayden. I'm going to send the picture.
Sorry, I'm just prepping the next slide. All right, so the next one that we're moving on to here, I don't know if it's going to restart. Hopefully, it's a slideshow. Make sure I got the right pedal. Yeah, so it is just going to cycle through. So the next one is first look at Stephen King's The Long Walk, the dystopian coming-of-age story he considered to be too merciless to film. And this is by Anthony Bresnikan from Vanity Fair on May 6, 2025. So, yeah, on the screen, I just have all the images that Vanity Fair was given for this story here. So, Hayden comes in to say "ew" about the spider. That's fitting, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know Hayden was against spiders.
You didn't?
No. I don't think it's ever really come up that bugs and everything like that. We usually focus on like clowns and
Yeah.
deglovings and bears.
No, he doesn't like Shelob.
Oh, okay. Actually, that does ring a bell.
Yeah. So this is from Anthony Bresnikan from Vanity Fair on May 6, 2025. So Anthony starts off by saying The Long Walk survived against all odds. It still resonates decades after the violent conflict that inspired it has ended, and it has finally overcome the many failed attempts to adapt it to its bleak narrative for screen. The novel tells the story of a group of young men in a dystopian future who engage in a life or death contest. He points out that this is the first novel that King ever wrote. I don't know if I actually knew that or not.
Is it really?
Yeah. And he finished it when he was 19 years old as a student of University of Maine in 1967.
Wow.
I mean, it was published later, obviously.
Yeah, under Bachman, right?
yeah.
This is a Bachman.
Yeah. Carol, I'm officially coming out as anti-spider. What's everyone's thought on scorpions? That's what I want to know.
Considering you just got a new one.
Yeah, I
You
did.
got,
I
you
just
got a pet scorpion.
got a pet scorpion, yeah.
Can we feed the spider to it?
They're no, they and honestly, the thing that sucks about scorpions is they're not very visual pets because
Yeah.
they're ambush predators.
Yeah.
So you give them a hide and they're pretty much going to be in there. Like you can go months without seeing them.
Yeah.
As well as eating, they eat like once a month maybe. Like
Oh,
you throw
really?
a single cricket in and like once a month, like it might actually eat. They're just not.
Very low maintenance, huh?
Yeah, they're pretty low maintenance, but then they're also low like reward. You don't see them a lot. I was telling Hayden last night that it's hiding in its hole. I don't even know if it's in there. I said I might have to root my finger around in there to see if he's still in there. Let's see. Brocky says it may have been too brutal to do well as a movie back when it was written, but today we have seen worse.
Yeah.
Hayden says no spiders, certain serpents, critters, vermin, oi, Chewy, and other detestable creatures.
Hey, what the hell did Oi do to you?
Hayden, you're going to gain some enemies in this room by making fun of Oi and lumping him in with beasts.
Second most beloved Dark Tower character voted by us and the fans.
You remembered. Finally.
Eddie won by one vote.
So King started the novel while he was in high school. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Where the body count of Vietnam was rising rapidly. According to U.S. government archives, and Anthony Bresnikan actually does all this math, or the reveal of this is kind of interesting. According to U.S. government archives, 216 American military boys were killed there in 1964, which is when King was in high school. But by 1965, when he started his senior year of high school, the tally exploded to 1928, so 1,928 deaths. And then in 1966, the next year, when King started college, the number more than tripled to 6,350 deaths.
Jeez.
And then in 1967, when the book was finally completed, it had doubled again to 11,363 deaths. So
that'd be hard to hear.
That's insane, yeah.
Yeah.
And with no end in sight at the point when he finally finished this book. King told Breznican that he did not intend to write this book as a political allegory, but his futuristic fantasy about military leader known only as the Major, who sent a venerable troop of healthy young men to their deaths for sport, had obvious real-world parallels. That's interesting that he didn't really mean it as a Vietnam thing, but it kind of obvious. They're kind of hard not to see it though, even if it wasn't meant, right? It's like the It Follows. They're like, the guy's like, I had never intended for that to be like an STD thing, but like, have you seen It Follows?
No, I still haven't watched it, but I know the premise.
Yeah, and like the premise, like it sounds like an STD, like, oh, you got to have sex to pass it on to someone else, and like whatever. But it's like he was like, no, I never thought of that.
But if they die, it comes back to you.
Yeah. So and then we got a quote from Cy King. It says, "You write for your times, so certainly it was in my mind, but I never thought about it consciously." King, now 77, tells Vanity Fair, "I was writing a kind of brutal thing. It was hopeless, and just what you write when you're 19 years old. You're full of beans and you're full of cynicism, and that's the way it was." Which I think is true. I think even Flanagan talked about that with some of his earlier films, where he's like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking as a young filmmaker. He's like, the films are just so bleak, and like the endings are dark as hell. He's like, there's just something about young filmmakers and young creatives in general that just tend to be way more like whatever. Whereas like now, like Flanagan's like, I tend to like some positivity, you know, whatever. Obviously, Life of Chuck is coming out. And, like, that seems to be like the ultimate of positive. So what else we got in the chat here?
Baraki says, no Oi hate. Oi is almost as lovable as Snake.
Yes, as Ermot.
No.
Indeed.
Oi is much better than... Oi would kill Ermot. He'd be like that dog in the video where he just runs up, grabs the snake, whips it a couple times, and sends it...
Hurls it.
Yeah.
Have you seen the one where the dog does that, but then lets it go and it hits a lady sitting on a lawn chair?
Yes.
So good.
So good.
I love it. So almost 60 years later, the story is finally hitting screens from director Francis Lawrence, who helmed all of the Hunger Games sequels and prequels, which there's obvious similarity between those films and this one, but Lawrence was drawn by the prospect of telling a more intense and harrowing story with this story versus Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Also, I've already seen at least one headline. Oh, this is such a ripoff of Hunger Games.
Literally the same director. And also, this was written decades
before. But I just knew.
It's always happens.
I just knew there'd be like, uneducated people that would just see it and be like, "Oh, this is just a ripoff of Hunger Games." It's like, I know. Like, if anything, Hunger Games may have the books of those were maybe inspired by King's Book of Long Walks. So, let's see. Hayden says Tad is the exception to the rule of youth loving bleak endings. 40, and he is the new 17. I do love bleak endings. It is one of my favorite things in the world. Carol says loosely like the Hunger Games being compared to current times, also using children and their deaths for entertainment. So there's definitely similarities for sure. So going on, we have a quote from Mr. Lawrence here. He says, "Anything that has a contest with death as a stake, as the stakes, and some sort of big prize, if you win, can be connected in some way. But in the Hunger Games, everyone's competing in a very different kind of way. There's alliances, and you're trying to kill one another. Here, you're not actually trying to kill one another. It's a very different dynamic in terms of relationships." In this contest, the boys have camaraderie and often help each other, which I think that was alluded to in the trailer a little bit.
Yeah.
Each of the three boys are given 3 warnings if they slow down or stop from the 3-mile-an-hour pace. The 4th time, they are shot in the head. Also, one big change is the book, it was 4 miles per hour. And I know as...
oh, is it really?
Yeah, they changed it to 3, which is far more realistic. I will tell you, I have set a treadmill as to different speeds, and 4 miles per hour, there's no fucking way. Like, King, there must not have been like treadmills in the same fashion back in the day when he wrote that, because there is just like, it's not even realistic. Like, but 3 miles per hour, that's a brisk pace, and like that.
That's walking.
That works, yeah. So the walk has no destination, and it only ends when the last boy is standing. We got another quote from Lawrence. He says, you know that slowly these kids are going to be picked away one by one, which is not unlike pretty much any horror movie that you see, which is very true. You go into every horror movie knowing, oh, here's a group of 8 teenagers. One is going to survive. So that's an interesting
it's
comparison.
a happy thought, right?
Yeah. let's see. And Baraki says the same thing, that people claiming Dune is a Star Wars ripoff. Yeah, there's all those kind of things for sure. The Long Walk is more of a tragedy than a horror, and they're and where some help each other, it's a lot. With them helping each other, there's less of the cutthroat that you have with the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
The film has an ensemble cast, but the two central characters are Ray Garrity, played by Cooper Hoffman, and he was in Licorice Pizza, and Peter McVerries, played by David Johnson from Alien Romulus, which he was the MVP of Alien Romulus, so I'm excited to see him in this, who develop a foxhole friendship, which that's a fun term.
That is a good term.
That is, and it's, I think we all know what it means, right? It's
Yeah.
like, that makes sense. Then we have a quote from Lawrence again. He says, "To me, that's what the whole thing is about. The whole thing is about the two of them bonding and kind of falling in love in a weird way." Lawrence said, "The conflict of what they're there for and what they've been through in the past only brings them closer together. The sacrifices they make for one another, to me, is the whole movie." So that's interesting. Despite the grim and brutal nature of this movie, it sounds like there's actually some heart to this movie.
Hayden, my guy. Really?
The film begins with Garrity being dropped off by his mother, played by Judy Greer. So finally, a reveal on who she's playing.
Yep.
She was the daughter of Laurie Strode in the new Halloween. Well, I shouldn't say trilogy. In 1.5 of the Halloween movies. She is beside herself, but he is resolved because they need this. Hoffman could not relate to the soldier aspect of it, but said, quote, "The Long Walk is a metaphor for life in my eyes," he says. "It's a metaphor for any sort of hard thing that you're going to go through, whether it's depression or anxiety or heartbreak or whatever. Sometimes in life you just want to stop walking, and that's a really dark thought. But the second you acknowledge that and come to terms with it and then keep going, that's the really beautiful thing." He covers the prize at the end of the walk, they cover the prize at the end of the walk. Anthony Brezikin does, which of course we know if we've read the books, is untold riches as well as one wish that is granted to you. So that's a lot of fun. The Major being played by Mark Hamill. What'd you think of him in the trailer?
Dude, great. Right?
Oh, I love it. It's ironic, as when the book was first published, Mark might have actually played one of the walkers, as he stood as the face of the poster boy of young heroes on a journey. But it was his work in The Last Jedi that made Lawrence think of him for the role of the Major. Quote, "His Luke Skywalker at that point had wariness. There was an authenticity to it that was grizzled and wary and real," Lawrence said. "I asked for a meeting, and he and I had a Zoom, and I discovered that he had actually grown up traveling around in a military family." And he was like, "Hey, I know that guy."
Hey.
So I never knew that he was a military
I didn't either.
kid. That's a new one for me.
Today I learned.
Each boy has their own motivations for walking. Garrity's is need and grieving the loss of his father, which Hoffman, the son of legendary actor Philip Seymour Hoffman, can relate to. Quote, "The way I always had to think about it was like my relationship to my father or my relationship to my to parents in general," Hoffman said. You kind of believe everything they tell you, and you kind of want to do what they want to do. You want to be them, even if you don't want to be them. Growing up, you start to realize that you start to realize that they are not you, and you try to live your life for someone else, especially someone who isn't there. There's a nice scene in the movie where McVerries, which is Johnson? No, Johan. I'm blanking on his name now. From Romulus, Johnson. Yeah, but it's spelled without an H, which throws me off. Is saying, and his character is saying, "Anger only gets you so far." And it is true, because anger is a feeling based on grief. So the Force Goblin taught us that anger and fear and the progression of things there. So am I missing anything in the chat here? I'm seeing a lot of shenanigans.
Talking about Star Wars and Dune, they're agreeing with each other.
Oh, okay.
Carol and Baraki, yeah.
So Garrity, this is a quote from Hoffman. "Garrity believes wholeheartedly that his father was fighting for the exact right to do no wrong, and then at one point it switches." Hoffman says the character starts to think, "Okay, who am I in this? Even if I started out on this journey doing it for someone else, how am I going to finish it and do it for me?" It was the first of 5 finished novels that King had that he stashed in a desk drawer, unwanted and largely unread until
How many?
5.
5. Okay,
So he ended up writing 4 more after this, before anything ever got published.
Okay.
They went unread, got put in a drawer until he finally hit the jackpot with the first publication of this first published book, Carrie, in 1974. Quote, King says, I was trying to impress a girl that I met, and I gave it to her chapter by chapter, King said, of The Long Walk. She liked it, and that was cool, but she didn't fall for the book hard enough to swoon for him. And he says, I don't think that I ever managed to get lucky, but I certainly tried. So that's an interesting play. Stephen King, giving it
chapter to
chapter by chapter.
Well, you gotta leave her wanting more, right?
Yeah,
Like that's the whole thing.
But it didn't work out for him. I mean, I guess that works out.
Thank God,
yeah.
because Tabitha is the reason why we have so many good things.
Anything.
Carrie.
Does he pull Carrie out of the garbage?
No.
That's 100% her.
Well, not only did she pull it out of the garbage, she read it and then she helped him.
Yeah,
rewrite
with
some
the female
of the female
that he wouldn't
elements,
understand.
Exactly. So yeah, we owe it all to Tabitha.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, she saved his life, most likely, getting him clean off of drugs and stuff too. So God knows where we'd be without Tabitha for sure.
Yeah.
So The Long Walk was repeatedly considered for the big screen over the years, but each attempt fell apart. Night of the Living Dead director George Romero gave it a try in the late 80s. Frank Darabont, no stranger to King with his adaptations of The Shawshank Redemption and The Mist. Kudos to Flanagan for listing those two there.
Thank God Darabont didn't get it. I don't know if I could emotionally recover from Darabont directing The Long Walk.
I mean, there's hope with Shawshank. I guess Green Mile is kind of a negative ending.
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet, maybe, because he did want to go at that point.
Yeah, he did save the warden's wife and everything.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm tired, boss. I want to go.
So I guess you got like middle, and then Shawshank's positive, and then The Mist is absolutely the negative.
Yeah, so I don't want to see what's after The Mist. I honestly believe The Long Walk would be past The Mist.
Oh, I bet, yeah. Can you imagine what he would have done? Oh my God.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then he began developing a version in the late 2000s. More recently, in 2019, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark filmmaker Andre Overdahl, which I didn't realize that he did that. He did The Last Voyage of the Demeter was the last movie that he did.
I still haven't seen that.
That was good. I watched it in my 50 movies in October last year, so it was fun. He was attached to direct, but each time The Long Walk stumbled in the development process. And then King says, I think maybe what held it back was in those other adaptations is the merciless quality. Somebody putting down the money for it must have been like, I don't know, this is hard, this is a painful one, and probably just hard to fund. And I could see that, I don't know, which maybe tells you something about society. Why are we at a spot where it's more acceptable now to have this grim ass story?
I mean,
it doesn't speak well of where we're at as a society.
No, Baraki, we do not hate on The Mist. We just know that the ending is brutal.
Oh, and I love it.
Yes.
I defend it constantly. I think it's one of the greatest endings in Hollywood history. Not even just horror, not just Stephen King. Like, I think it's one of the greatest film endings of all time. So
I mean, Stephen King says that it's better than his. So
yeah.
Also, I'm saying, Baraki, is that if Frank Darabont, who directed The Mist, who made that ending,
if he had done The Long Walk,
oh God, I don't know if I could emotionally deal with what he does.
Yeah.
To these children.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah.
See, this director, what is it, Lawrence, or is it
Francis Lawrence?
Lawrence. Yeah. If Lawrence aged up the kids, because in The Long Walk, some of them are as young as like 12 and 13.
Yeah. And Darabont
would have had.
They all would have been 12.
They would have all been. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's a monster.
Yeah, he is a monster for sure. What kids in the early 2000s would have been playing those kids, I wonder? What 12-year-old actors are in the 2000s? Malcolm in the Middle?
Ooh.
Malcolm the Middle Kid is definitely one.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
He would have been too old.
No, he's one of the older ones, because there is older ones.
Yeah,
so.
but he would have done only 12-year-olds. He would have just had nothing because the brutality of, can you imagine a bunch of freaking like children being slaughtered?
I'm trying to think of like other sitcoms that have kids in them besides Malcolm in the Middle.
And in his defense, those kids are, even if they're 12 years old, are older than the kid he killed in The Mist. So.
Yeah.
Oh, also one of my biggest heartbreaks ever is that Hayden watched The Mist on his own. I know. I thought that I had watched it with him, and he had texted me when he finally watched it, and I'm like, wait, we haven't watched that? Dude, I was I was depressed for a week because I'm like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
To have been in that room.
He even said in the chat, he said The Mist is tough, and tough is all capitalized. So.
Yeah. And then King says, what's weird is I've almost become a franchise like Marvel or something. I saw a poster the other day for The Long Walk and it said based on legendary Stephen King story or something like that. Legendary, when it's connected to a person, basically means old. Incorrect, King. Absolutely incorrect. You are a legend. And the poster is on the slides here. You've probably seen it. So there's a couple shots of the movie, a couple shots behind the scenes, and there is a poster. It's probably gone through the cycle a number of times now. So
it has.
The poster is on there as well. So it was never announced publicly, but Lawrence actually also had a previous attempt at making The Long Walk.
Did he?
He says, it crossed my desk in 2006 around the time that I was making I Am Legend. The guy...
Oh, shit. He made I Am Legend, too?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's another one that just gut punches you. So this is a...
Yeah. Yeah. Did that one have a dog?
Yes.
Okay. I knew immediately. I mean, that dog's dead. Just like, was it Marley and Me? I remember those trailers back in the early 2000s.
Yep.
Like, that dog is dead. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if Lawrence didn't do that one as well. Like,
he says the guy I wrote I Am Legend with, one of the producers, Akiva Goldsman, which we are familiar with, who's now a friend of mine. He gave me a copy, and we were trying to find something to do together, and I totally fell in love with it. We went to get the rights, and I think it may have been Frank Darabont who had nabbed the rights right before we could. I fell in love with it, but it was a thing we just couldn't do. Instead, Lawrence signed on to make all 4 follow-ups to the Hunger Games. So I guess he didn't do the first Hunger Games movie, and then he did everything other than the first one, though.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that he, at one point, made an attempt. King doesn't feel he owns the notion of survival of the fittest, and speaks highly of the Hunger Games in particular. Quote, I've been influenced by 1984 and Lord of the Flies and a lot of novels, he says. I always thought that Suzanne Collins just had the idea and ran with it. As someone who's worked in horror and suspense genre, everything is related to everything else. It's not like theft. It's like more like homage. So that's cool for him to be chill with it like that. Still, it was important for Lawrence not to approach The Long Walk like he had been down the road before, so to speak. Quote, I thought the opposite. I'm like, I don't want this to feel like The Hunger Games, he said. This film is scrappier, gritty, and has a grittier feel. It seldom leaves the black top where the young boys are walking. The audience sees only the passing countryside and gawking townsfolk that the contestants see, and the violence is much more explicit. I mean, really... I'm really only interested in the emotional value of it. You want that impact, Lawrence said, especially with the very first death, which we won't spoil here. He doesn't seem like he's going to be the first one to go, so that's a tease there. And then he finishes up by saying the film was we've already covered this a little bit, but the film was actually shot in order, because they kind of knew that the actors would probably lose weight and get more gaunt and whatever. And so they basically shot the entire thing in order. And Hoffman actually chimed in and said that sucked because once a character died, that cast member was no longer part of the production. And he said that he got close to a number of the actors and then they were no longer part of the film. So he's like, it was kind of hard to lose friends.
That's kind of hard, but at the same time, it probably helped.
Yeah,
with them, with
the
their
inspiration.
acting and
The inspiration. Yeah, but it's like coworkers, right? It's like you really like a coworker, and then they get fired or quit.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a bummer. It's like
it's a very big bummer.
You know,
exactly.
so I kind of see where he's coming from there.
Lawrence also directed Constantine.
Okay, Baraki says, "LOL, those trailers spoils the first death." Now I don't know about that actually.
No, see, that might be them tricking us.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's tricking us, and that's a death, but not the first death. Especially because he says it doesn't sound like you could see it coming, because that one in the trailer you see coming.
You see it coming, yeah.
Yeah, he's given multiple warnings.
He's
having
cramping.
a cramp. Yeah, so it's like you kind of see that one coming. So I wonder if it's someone that's like passively been warned a couple times, but not immediately. And then like that fourth one, you don't even get the warning. It's just a shot where you can't even see. You just hear a gunshot, you see him drop. I don't know.
I wonder with what you said earlier, it's maybe it might be a little bit different in the movie, because it doesn't look like they give him 4. It looks like it's strike 3, bam. With the way that the trailer.
No,
is.
the article just said this. Bresnikan said that they have three warnings, and then the fourth time they're shot.
Right.
So
it's not 1, 2, 3, go. It's 1, 2, go. In the trailer.
Yeah,
so,
that's just edited.
So
because Flanagan, Bresnikan wouldn't have said on the fourth time they're shot if that wasn't given to them by the filmmakers. So it's probably just poorly edited that gives you, which for your average audience, 1, 2, 3, we all understand that,
Yeah.
right? We all understand 3 strikes, you're out type thing. So, but unless Bresnikan is just crossing the wires and he's just telling us the book side, and they are legitimately changing it to
Right.
3, who knows? You could be right. So,
I did notice that and I was like, okay, so it's 3 strikes and they're out. Because rewatching the trailer, yeah.
Carol Baraki was ready to fight verbally, that is, about the mist
Yeah.
misunderstanding, and rightfully so. In fact, I've honestly been one that stomps my feet constantly when all these people disrespect the mist, because they're always like, Darabont, he has these absolute 2 Stone Cold classics, and then he has the mist. It's like, no, that is just as much of a classic as the other 2.
Yeah.
It just gets disrespected because it's horror. So
Exactly.
yeah, so that is the Long Walk. Let's go on over to the next one here. We've got Matthew Lillard is in talks to join Carrie for Amazon.
Yeah,
So-
I actually saw this one. It just randomly came across my feed, and I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah. And then Baraki also says it looks like the first death because of the reaction of the rest of them. Shock. And that could be true, but also, do we know that those are their reactions to that exact death, or is it trick editing
What if-
on top of
yes.
it? Or do they think also maybe they think they're going to give him a break because he's cramping? You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't mean that it's the first. The shock could be the fact of like, oh, he's cramping. They're not.
I wonder if
they're not
there is
do
going to be an
anything.
aspect of like them not understanding just how brutal it is.
Yeah.
Because my wife and I were talking about it. We're not talking about the trailer yet, right?
We can actually.
Do you want to just pause real fast and talk about it since we
can.
we're right here?
Yeah,
in,
let's
in everything.
Yeah, for sure. So,
my wife watched the trailer with me. Rewatched it today, like you said, to take notes and everything like that. And I wonder. There's a line in the trailer that kind of makes me wonder because she asked, "Well, do they know that if they get 3 strikes, they're going to get shot?" I'm like, "Yes, this is not a new thing. This is televised. That's why there's the camera." Everyone watches it. People come out and like celebrate.
Yeah.
They even get like super excited in the book where one of them gets offed right in front of people.
Yeah.
Like they're walking through a town.
Kind of like the gallows in like the West when like
Yeah.
there'd be a hanging, people gathered to watch
Yeah.
it, right?
Well, like
So,
and they do that in the Dark Tower as well. Like, but that's real world.
Yeah.
France obviously used execution
guillotine,
as
yeah.
entertainment and everything.
Yeah.
But she was like, do they know like the consequence? I'm like, oh yeah, they know when they sign up. And so I wonder because there's a line I've been thinking about it since she asked that. There's a line from Hamill where he's like, I'm not going to go through the whole rule book, but basically, don't fall under 3 strikes, you're out, kind of thing. He gives like the bare minimum. He doesn't mention that there's no breaks. He doesn't, and I mentioned it to my wife. I'm like, they have to go to the bathroom while walking.
Yeah.
So like, you got to take a dump. You got to do it while walking 3 miles an hour. like that's that.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
No, you could also use your strikes.
you do have
because they
you do
roll
have a
off
strike.
too.
Yeah, they roll off after a certain time, and they didn't cover that in the trailer.
No, they don't cover
so-
that in the trailer, but
I don't remember what the time frame is for. It's like an hour without a strike and one falls off, or
yeah,
something like that.
Kind of like with like when you get written up at work, like write-offs usually
It
like
lasts
there-
6 months
there's-
to a year.
There's like a rolling year
Yes.
that it, like whatever. It's that kind of thing. Because I do believe the book covers that at some point where like someone uses it to like take a
right
piss
at the
or
very
something,
right at the very beginning, he stops and gets a strike, and they're like, "What an idiot!" And they're like, "No, that's smart because now he knows where it is."
Oh, yeah.
like physically, because
Your
in the
limits.
book they don't have pedometer
Yeah.
speedometers, or,
And they won't hear because
or
this
anything.
everything we've seen of the set photos that we've seen that have been leaked and shit, it looks like a period thing. So I don't think they're going to have technology. Like,
They have a watch that shows them how fast they're going in the trailer. Did you watch the new trailer?
yeah.
Oh no,
but-
that's Life of
but-
Chuck that has a second trailer.
But every vehicle we see in this is like old.
yeah,
So like it kind of seems like a period piece, and even all the set leaks
there's
that
a
we've seen
shot where he looks down and it says 2.9, 3.1.
I guess it is dystopian, so maybe
So-
it's kind of like the Fantastic Four-ish.
there's
where
the
it's-
watch right there on his wrist.
Yeah,
They walk through and they put him on, and
but it's not in the book.
So,
Yeah.
In the book, no, they don't. That's the thing about the book. Yeah, they have no idea. So that's what the kid's doing right at the beginning.
Yeah,
Is that he's gauging? Okay, that's where I get a warning.
that's your limit. That's
Okay,
your
I got to
bottom
walk
limit.
faster than that.
Yeah.
And so they're like, that's smart because that's going to roll off and he's going to be fresh. So no
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, so that's my one big thing is the look of it is incredible.
Yeah.
I really hate when films just look shitty. I feel like that's very common nowadays. There's just like a lighting and a tone that you get with like classic movies, and this kind of has that feel, and it feels like it's shot bleak. Like it has like a color to it that feels bleak. Like it feels
also like the trailer as well was very like, look how happy it is. It like plays with a very popular country song, like, I'm one of a kind, kind of thing and everything. And then it slowly descends into horror. It's all wholesome and happy. The boys are tossing things back and forth. They're joking around. And then it descends. You see a dead cow. You see a cat. You see the guy flipping off the cop. You see something burning, like a tractor burning or something.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
You see blood, very brief glimpses of blood and a broken foot and everything like that. So it's just like the slow descend into horror in the trailer makes me wonder if that might be a preview, go figure, for what we're going to be seeing in the movie. Is this going to start all happy and chipper? And then that's what he's saying here in the article is
darker
that,
and darker.
Well, we're going to get slapped upside the head with the first death.
Yeah. I'm loving it. I mean, trailers are always interesting to me. I will say this isn't like the best trailer I've ever seen. Like, it didn't like completely blow my socks off. Like, I'm excited. I'm already excited for it. There's sometimes like you get a trailer where it just like fucking sends you to the moon. Like, this didn't necessarily do that for me, but it's like I kind of get that like with this story, there's probably only so much you could do in the trailer, and I also know the story, so I think sometimes I have a hard time getting overly excited about something that I know the story for. Right? Like I don't know. So, but no, not to say this isn't a good trailer. This is a really good trailer. I was bracing for it to maybe not be as good. I don't know why, but as all the movies we have on the docket this year, like this is the one that I may have circled where I'm like, I hope this is good. But if there's one that's not, it might be this one.
I have my doubts.
Like because like Life with Chuck is going to be great. We've already seen a lot of reviews. Edgar Wright is such a talented filmmaker. I can't see The Running Man not being a fucking killer movie. But this one, I want it to be good. I really do. So I was kind of going to this trailer like, first glimpses, let's see what it's like. And it was actually pleasantly surprising. But it wasn't just like, it's not like a top 10 trailer I've seen this year or anything like that. I guess it's just not the absolute top echelon for trailer for me, but it was very effective, and I think it's a good way to like describe the world to people that have never read the book. Like the Quiet Place. Everyone that went into the Quiet Place, chances are in theaters saw the trailer, so they knew the rules before the lights went down in the theater.
Right
now, yes, you have that first scene that sets it up to show you what's going on, and you kind of like are acclimated. And the same thing will happen here down the road when someone's streaming it. They've never seen a trailer, like they'll be introduced to the concepts, but it's like everyone today that's seen this trailer that's going to go see it is going to know because of the way the trailer was played. It's like, okay, I get the gist of what this movie is and like the brutality that it's going to be too. Because I think that's the thing that surprised me. It was way more brutal than I thought for a trailer. Like actually showing like the killing and stuff. I did not expect
they didn't cut away from that headshot.
They didn't. I was quite startled by that. So
this doesn't come out till September, right?
Correct.
Yeah, September 12th, 2025.
Oh yeah, Hayden's birthday.
Hey, that's right. My only other note that I really had for the trailer is that it does look gruesome, like you said, with like the blood and gore and everything like that. We even saw like the dead cow. I hope they didn't put all of it in there. I hope we don't. I hope that's not it. I hope there's more.
I feel like we only saw the early parts of it. I think there's a lot we haven't seen.
I mean, with like the broken foot, it's one of the ones that I'm like, I really hope that's not like the worst we get. I hope we get more.
Yeah,
because like
some compound fractures.
I mean, one can hope, right? Maybe a degloving or two.
It's not Flanagan.
That's true.
Carol says I've read The Long Walk. At least I didn't have to hear the gunshots. I don't know if I could watch it in live action. I think that's totally fair too. Like, this is a movie you're going to know up front what you're in for, and it's not a pleasant story.
Yeah.
Now The Mist bamboozled you.
Yes.
There was no way to know that was going to be as dark and grim as it was.
Yep.
So this one, I think it's pretty much advertising itself.
Even if you read the short story, you still didn't know.
No, exactly. So, oh man, I did love the trailer though. It swung my expectations a bit because, like I said, I was just bracing for this to be kind of like a mid adaptation, like if we get at the end of the year when we're sitting there looking back at the 6 adaptations, there's a couple movies and a couple TV shows. There's part of me that kind of wondered if this is going to be the low end of the movies, but this has me excited that it'll at least give a competition for like, might be hard for us to pick what of the 3 movies is our least favorite,
right?
So, which is the hope, right? Like
4. Didn't Salem's Lot officially come out this year? Isn't that when it dropped? Didn't it drop in January or February?
I can't remember now. But yeah, we've got
No, it says 2024.
Yeah, so we've got Life of Chuck, Long Walk, and Running Man, and then we've got The Institute coming to TV. Is that the one that's coming out this year? I don't have that slide anymore that I built for the last episode where I had covered the 6 things coming out this year. I guess I could pull it up real quick if my computer will cooperate. It is The Monkey was the other one.
Oh, that's the one I was
February.
thinking of. That came out in February. Yeah.
Yeah, The Life of Chuck, The Long Walk, The Running Man, Welcome to Derry, and then The Institute. So 2 TV.
Damn.
2 TV and 4 movies. So, yeah, this is quite a year. And the trailer did a good job. I'm really looking forward to this in September. So, Baraki says it would be much worse if they had been 11 to 15 or so, like the books. Baraki says just watch the trailer again for sure. It's not set in modern times. It looks like the 80s. So I kind of wonder if they're doing some like fudging where it's like a dystopian past, but it's like maybe slightly kind of like the Fantastic Four is doing, where it's like set in the 60s, but there's shit in it that's beyond our capabilities today.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're doing something like that. So Hayden says, I'm mowing my lawn whilst listening and have to say no to compound fractures and deglovings, you brutes.
I mean, a lawnmower to the foot is kind of along the lines of what we're hoping for.
Also, I didn't bring it up in my notes here, but there is actually a one that where recently Kathy Bates was interviewed, and she said that she was heartbroken when she got the script originally for Misery, and they had taken out the axe to the feet
instead of
the hobbling.
Yeah.
She was upset that they toned it down from the book. Although I will say I think it's worse than the book, to be honest. I think I'd rather just have my feet taken off than that fucking mauling. And then she was also disappointed that the lawnmower kill was not in the movie. So I was like, Kathy, I worry about you.
Yeah. Are you okay? I'm not going to get anywhere near you, but are you okay?
It's like that outtake in The Office where she calls Michael Scott Paul.
Yeah.
It's like, no. His name is Steve Carell. His name is Michael Scott. Where the hell did Paul come from? I'm watching you, lady. Paul Sheldon. Oh, man. So now back to Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
This is a short one. Matt Grober from Deadline on May 1st, 2025. After landing a role in Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, not to be forgotten that he is also coming up in that. He's also had a resurgence with Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yep.
He's also in the upcoming Life of Chuck.
Yep.
So I think now...
You got a bunch going on.
So at this point now, he is a member of the Flanagan family. He's been in 2 now, right? Like because this is actually, he's in talks, so this isn't 100% finalized yet. But when this gets finalized, you got Life of Chuck in this. He's part of the Flanagan family.
That means Hamill is as well then, right?
Yes, absolutely he is. So,
Matthew Lillard is also coming back for Scream.
Scream, indeed.
That's right.
Indeed. No word on...
I knew there was something else that he was also going to be in.
Yeah, I love it. No word on what role he'll be playing, but it would be a second Flanagan adaptation after The Life of Chuck, which comes out in June.
This is an easy one for me to guess.
What?
Oh, principal, teacher.
Oh, who he plays.
Yeah.
I sorry. My mind disconnected from that last thing I read. Then you said that. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, he could very easily be the principal.
Yeah.
Easily could be the principal at the school.
Yeah.
He could also be another teacher. He could be he could be the person leading the White Commission.
Yeah.
Dude, especially if they do a series, I really hope we get to see a lot of the White Commission.
Yeah.
The interviews and stuff like that. He could be a townsperson. There's the one person in the book who
could be the farmer, the pig farmer.
He could be the pig. Well, the pig farmer's never shown.
You could still show him.
You could have him give testimony that one of his pigs was slaughtered and everything. But I think most likely it's the principal, or the other one that really fits for him is there's the guy who's in the drunk tank. Like, he knows that if he gets drunk, he gets mean. And so the sheriff just keeps a cot for him.
Yeah.
And so he walks in, or the police chief. I can't remember which one it is, sheriff or police chief. You know that.
Yeah, probably sheriff.
Sheriff,
I guess.
He walks in and he just puts himself to bed.
Yeah.
And then the gas station blows up.
Yeah.
And he sees it. And so he's the witness for that. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, you were drunk. He's like, I wasn't that drunk. I know what I saw. You know, kind of thing.
It is interesting with this book, there's very few male roles. Usually it's the opposite, and there's hardly any female roles. But when it comes to Carrie, like all the primary characters are female.
You got
Carrie's mom,
the bully,
the teacher.
Carrie's mom, the teacher, the
bullies, the one that turns.
3 or 4 bullies. Then you got Chris.
That turns kind of more, like, I guess you have the boyfriend.
Sue Snell. You got Tommy, but he's going to be younger, obviously. It's not going to be if Matthew Lillard plays the boyfriend, I'm going to fucking love it. I'm gonna love it.
Oh man, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that as we're
right.
as we're cataloging out, like usually when we're sitting there with like when we've done dream castings in the past, and we've had like, oh, well, this actress, who should she play? We're always like, God, it's hard because there's just not as many female roles. But Carrie is like the opposite. There's way more female characters. So
Carol says, unpopular opinion here. I just don't feel like I want another Carrie. I'm not sure it matters who's making it.
yeah, and I think there's some people that are definitely feeling that way. For me, I mean, I'm gonna trust Flanagan for anything. So
If it's Flanagan, just hook it to my veins, right?
yeah, but I could totally see because there's been a number of things. That's actually the last bit for this thing I have, unrelated, but another Carrie article came across my feed and it had a list of where to stream all things Carrie. So I figured I'd read that off. 1978, the original movie is on Max. Rage, Carrie 2, which you should never watch, is on Tubi and MGM+. The 2013 adaptation is on Max. And then Riverdale's A Night to Remember, Season 2 musical episode tribute to Carrie, the musical, on Netflix. So those are all the things. I think there's another adaptation that's not listed here. I think there's a TV adaptation that's been done at least on top of that. So, no, I could feel where you're coming from, Carrie, or Carol, and you're not unique in that. There's a lot of people that are very
like, why? I mean, my initial reaction was that way.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's very shrug of the shoulders where it's like, we've already had, this is the 5th or 6th adaptation now. Like,
yeah,
what? You know, I mean, at the time when we announced it too, or when it was announced and we covered it, I remember even pointing out, like, and Cujo, we've only ever had one adaptation. That's never even been readapted. But this has been done 5 times. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But now, of course, Cujo, maybe Netflix is listening, and Cujo is now being readapted. So, do the Dark Tower, goddammit.
Dark Tower.
If you're listening. Yeah, so
there was a 2002 television adaptation of Carrie.
Yeah, so that one is not listed on this thing, but those are the things that they listed. I essentially wanted to share it for anyone to stream, but also the Riverdale's a musical episode tributing the Carrie musical. That sounds like a fun thing to watch. So, but no, I understand. But I do my theory in my heart of hearts is that this is a show me for Amazon, and Amazon's like, okay, we're going to give you a Stephen King property, adapt it for us, and if this goes well, we will give you your Dark Tower green light. That's my suspicion. There's nothing that's even hinted at that in the news or anything, but that's just my suspicion.
She says, I did not say I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to just so I know what you guys are talking about when you talk about it. Because, we most likely will talk about it.
Yeah.
I love Carrie, so.
Yeah, me too. Next,
hi, Mr. Spider, you're back.
Next up, we've got Stephen King Day 2025 to take place in this main city. So Jordan Verge from X1065 on April 29th, 2025, which is actually a news organization in Maine.
Not a radio station?
I think it is, but it's also a new, I don't know.
Oh.
So the inaugural Stephen King Day. So this is first ever thing, has been created to celebrate the widely famous author and was recently announced in Maine. Listen, we get it. Every day online feels like there's some made-up national holiday just for another excuse to celebrate something random, but this one's different. It's uniquely Maine, and honestly, we're all for keeping it that way. Let's go ahead and gatekeep this one. So that's funny. Now, with that said, just to get everyone on the same page, why we as Mainers are setting this day aside to celebrate Stephen King. A city in Maine celebrating Stephen King's makes perfect sense. He was born here, lived in Bangor for years, and set many of his most famous stories like Carrie, Pet Sematary, and It right here in the Pine Tree State. I did not know it was called the Pine Tree State. The home in Bangor has also become a must-see for fans and tourists alike, making him an integral part of Maine's identity and culture. I would have to assume that there's a lot of tourism is drummed up from King. I have to imagine that. I would probably say it's safe to assume that 75% of the tourism to Maine is probably Stephen King related.
I don't know if it's that high.
I think it is. I really do.
Maine has had high tourism for 100 years before
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Just to go along with what the person's saying about the national holiday. Today is National Shrimp Day, World Migratory Bird Day, Archer Day, Brunch for Lunch Day, Dog Mom Day is all today. So it's out of hand.
So the city of Hallowell is set to host Stephen King Day 2025 on Saturday, May 17th. So 1 week from today, as a tribute to the iconic horror author and Maine native. Events through the day will include dramatic readings, ghost tours, King-themed pub trivia, a pet costume parade, and a 21-plus prom inspired by Carrie.
Hey!
So that's fun.
That's great.
Most activities are free or low cost, with the proceeds and benefiting local causes like the Hubbard Free Library, which is helping organize the event. The day-long celebration is being called a way to honor one of Maine's most legendary storytellers in a true spooky style. For more information and details, schedule of events for Stephen King Day, check out Hubbard Free Library's website, which I will put the link in the show notes.
Nice.
So,
Hayden says he is the main attraction.
I will have no dad jokes in this on this podcast.
Hayden, that's from me. Well done, sir. Carol says giving Stephen King his flowers is always a good idea. Yeah, otherwise he'll curse your town,
Or he'll kill Jake Chambers again.
Yeah. It's one or the other.
And
He
then
just flips a coin.
Carol says, yeah, but if you give him something everyone is sick of, then it fails and no Dark Tower. Yeah, and that's definitely a possibility as well. I hope that it can get a following, because ultimately I don't know, if my theory's correct, they might look at like Dr. Sleep, which is brilliant, but it didn't do well. So,
But now it's regarded as one of the best King adaptations.
yeah, so we'll see. But
I mean, for now, wait until Life of Chuck comes out.
yeah, indeed. Next up, we've got The Shining Hotel borrows $300 million to cater to horror fans. This is by Aaron Hudson from Bloomberg on April 22nd,
I'm
2025.
still not going.
So the Stanley Hotel's $300 million expansion plans. The Stanley Hotel is in Estes Park, Colorado, famously inspired King's The Shining. Financial details: the hotel plans to borrow nearly $300 million to fund a significant renovation and expansion project. The investment aims to transform the hotel into a premier destination for horror enthusiasts, enhancing its appeals and offerings. I've heard of rumors they might even do like a film festival, like a horror film festival.
That's
set up
awesome.
there. The hotel is seeking to establish itself as a year-round destination for horror fans, moving beyond its seasonal events. By leveraging its association with The Shining, the Stanley Hotel aims to offer an immersive experience that blends hospitality with horror-themed entertainment. And then the article situates the Stanley Hotel's plans with the larger trend of horror becoming a significant draw on tourism and entertainment. In the tourism and entertainment industries, other venues and theme parks are increasingly incorporating horror elements to attract visitors seeking thrilling experiences. The substantial borrowing reflects the confidence in the profitability of a horror-themed tourism and the hotel's unique market position. The expansion is expected to boost local economy and contribute to regional economy through increased tourism. The hotel is planned to involve the local community in its expansion, potentially offering new opportunities for local businesses and artists. While modernizing the Stanley Hotel it does still intend to preserve the historical significance of the actual base hotel. So,
Good.
Pretty cool. Next up, this is a short one. If we get the right slide here. Emilio Estevez apparently wrote a bitchin' sequel to Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, boy.
So this is by Alex D. Vincenio from Bloody Disgusting on August 18th, 2025. He was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast and said, with the advent of more computer technology and AI and all of that, I started to imagine what a sequel to Maximum Overdrive would look like. And during the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strikes, I wrote one, the actor divulged, admitting that he does not have the rights to the material, though. So kind of just wrote it for his own benefit. I started page 1. I started with an idea. Now I'm on page 10, then on page 20, then page 50, and I can't stop. Dino De Laurentiis owns the rights to Maximum Overdrive, and I ended up creating this insane world for a sequel. Estevez would reprise his role as Bill. Quote, he's got his own diner. He's got a young daughter, and he's got his crew, his people, and Guy Fieri is coming in to do diners, drive-ins, and dives on the day that the world falls apart and machines turn. So that sounds incredible.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then he says it was a cool idea. It's bitchin'. It's a bitchin' script, man. And D. Laurentiis was like, nope, we have the rights to this, and we're not interested. We're going to pursue our own things. And I was like, okay. So
right.
Nothing we'll ever see, but still sounds cool.
That's
and
funny.
I want some Maximum Overdrive, please. More of it. Next up, we've got The Running Man wraps filming, and Edgar Wright shares an interesting picture. Edgar Wright on his Instagram on March 28, 2025. For those listening, it's Edgar Wright and Glenn Powell holding a sign that's signed by a bunch of people, presumably the cast and crew of the film. But there's a drawing of the man, and it says Richard lives. Or Richards lives. So...
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people now speculating, does this mean that he's going to survive the movie? I don't think so. Like, it could be kind of one of those things like Vader Lives, that was like a thing after the original Star Wars.
Well,
which
I
there was no
think of,
indication that Vader would have actually lived.
Yeah.
But it was like a cult thing, like a cult following thing, where there were shirts made where Vader Lives, and I wonder if it's that kind of thing.
I wonder if it's more like a rebellion, martyr kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It could be like a graffiti on the wall.
Yeah.
He lives,
Yeah, it could be. So he
Guy
will.
Fawkes kind of thing.
Yeah, he will end up dying, but then it'll be like that'll be like the rallying cry.
It's the rallying cry
Could
because
be.
you're like,
That makes more sense to me. That's a good call
Yeah.
than him surviving. I just don't see that big of a change of the
Sure.
source material. So
Yeah.
especially because Edgar's basically said like, hey, no one's ever made a movie of the Running Man before. Like, the film that was made before, it has nothing to do with the book, pretty
No.
much. So he's like, and for years I was like, whatever. And then that producer called him up and like, hey, you have any interest in doing the Running Man? And he's like, are you
God,
kidding?
yes.
I just don't feel that he would go nuts and whatever. So
I picture that like V for Vendetta kind of thing.
exactly. That's a good call. Pretty interesting though, and it has wrapped. So
Interesting.
odds
that
and
comes out in November.
yes,
Yeah.
November. So odds and ends. So the first one, King says Cujo got him more hate mail than anything, at least up until the point that the film was made, which is only a couple years. God knows what's happened to him since the early 80s.
Because the kid died in the book.
Yes.
But when the film came out, the kid lived, and so people were okay.
Do you think he's got more hate mail since Cujo? Because what was
Yes.
Cujo's movie in 83?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
like the third book of the Dark Tower series ending on that cliffhanger, did that
I
maybe
don't
get
know
him?
if it's necessarily hate mail. I know he does talk about there's the one person who's like, what a cheap ending and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I don't think there's a ton because people like a good cliffhanger.
I don't
Everyone
know.
talks about it like, oh man, this cliffhanger's killing me, but everyone loves it when there's a good cliffhanger.
Not when it takes. I mean, they wouldn't have known it in real time.
Right,
but when it
exactly.
takes 6-7 years for the follow up to come out, I'm just
I
wondering.
think there's worse things that are going to get him more hate mail. I think it would have got him more hate mail than that.
yeah.
With the sewer scene with all the kids, like
Maybe. I think that's more of a modern thing where people are getting all fucking weird about.
I don't
that.
know. There was people back then that were upset by that. So
I don't know, man. You look through pop culture. There's a lot of very awkward things when you look back on them.
that's true.
There's a lot. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that people are a lot different about it than they are today. So.
True.
So he says, or no, this is actually from Dee Wallace, the star of Cujo. She said, Stephen King wrote us after Cujo and said, "Thank God you didn't kill the kid at the end. I've never gotten more hate mail than anything else I've ever, I've never gotten more hate mail for anything else I've done." So up to the point that the movie was made, that was the most hate mail King had ever had, was killing Tad, which I understand why there would be hate mail. I don't care about the kid. If he was named John, I wouldn't have cared as much. But
Yeah.
Tad. That's
What about if he was named Peter?
it's hitting close to home here.
What if he?
Well, then we'd both be named Peter.
That's true. We would.
Carol says George R. R. Martin is getting all the hate mail now. None left for King.
It's true.
Yeah, that's probably true. And then quote: "The movie is very different from the book. The dog's possessed by a demon, and the kid dies. And when they brought me aboard, I said the kid can't die." So
Yeah.
apparently, on top of the studio already thinking there's no way we could do this. Sounds like Dee, when she was signed on, went, "You're not killing the kid."
I think we've talked about that
So-
before. That she's just like,
not
this
the D
isn't
part. We've talked about.
that sounds familiar.
We've talked to the producer. We talked about the producers telling King like, we're gonna have to change the ending. I don't think we could do this. And King's like, "Oh yeah, you'll get lynched if you do my ending." So
Yeah.
we've heard that. I don't think I've never
Which
heard.
is so funny because then we have the mist.
Very very far down the road. 19
That's where society is gone.
Yeah,
that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, indeed. Or the monkey with a baby carriage on fire.
God, that Tad uproariously laughed at in
Oh,
theaters.
dude, just the balls to do that. I love the monkey. He's a good guy.
Don't look at him.
Don't
Don't acknowledge him.
Next up, Hodder and Stofton is set to publish a 25-year anniversary edition of On Writing, and that is
Nice.
coming out July 17th, 2025. That is one of my favorite King books, just because it's slightly autobiographical, but it's also like an instructional on his writing style and how to be a professional writer. And I think that even if you're not necessarily interested in writing, I think it's an interesting read. So.
Hayden says so many moms clutched their pearls when Tad laughed at the baby on fire.
Probably. Next up, this is an interesting one. Under the Dome is being published in Persian. So,
All right.
according to the Tehran Times, a Persian translation of the book is going to be published. It was translated by Mohammed Javadi. So, that's really cool. I mean, it's one of those things you take for granted where you just assume that like they're going to translate these books into every language, but it sounds like no, like it comes down to someone going, "No, I'm going to translate this." Also, an interesting like one to pick to translate too. I mean, the stand is right there. And
could you do the stand with all the Christian stuff in it?
I don't know. And it's super American too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And,
they're gonna be like, "What is this, Las Vegas?"
yeah. And then the last one we got here for odds and ends. King is getting dunked on by Seinfeld fans. So in Full Dark, No Stars, someone is watching an episode of Seinfeld, and King quotes it as George Costanza says, "I was in the pool, and the audience laughs." That's a sentence that King wrote. Mm-hmm. Anyone familiar with that clip of that episode was quite disturbed that King used a period for George and not multiple exclamation points. Because if you've seen that scene, he is screaming that. Yeah. And the way King wrote that, it sounds like it's just a matter of fact statement of fact, and it's the neurotic George yelling. So and there's also like a slight built-in humor because there's also an episode where Elaine breaks up with a guy because he takes a message for her about her friend having a baby and he doesn't use an exclamation point.
Yeah.
And she's like, a baby announcement, or like my friend and her baby, like that deserves an exclamation point. I think he's like an editor, or they're both editors for books.
Yeah.
And so it turns into this. Oh no, he's a writer and she's editing his book. So then she like goes through an edit of his books and puts exclamation points on every fucking like sentence to like so there's built-in Seinfeld humor here. But I will say, King, tisk tisk.
Oh my god.
There should have been some exclamation points for sure. So, we are pretty close to out of time. Anything you wanted to say about the Life of Chuck trailer?
I only had two things.
Okay.
So
for one,
not a ton.
I'll just say I fucking loved it. This
it looks
trailer,
great.
I am. This is probably my most anticipated movie for me, and the trailer is absolutely killing it. It looks incredible.
It looks so much fun, and there is a newer trailer that has a little bit more to it.
Yeah, the second trailer.
Yeah. The first time watching it today, so I'm glad that you told me to rewatch it.
Hayden, the Persian translation of the Green Kilometer is pretty famous too.
I said I think it looks great, that it looks good and wholesome, interesting considering it's Flanagan and King.
Yeah, and you notice how they're the comps they're making: Stand By Me, The Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile. Yeah. They're not saying Christine,
Cujo,
yeah, they're
Carrie.
not. Yeah, because it's part of the marketing, right? Like you want to highlight what's your thing is going to be like, not the shit that it isn't.
Yeah.
Because like if you got someone like your mom that might see that trailer, she might actually want to see this. Versus if it said like the writer of Cujo and Christine, The Shining, your mom would be like, "Fuck no, I'm not going to go see that."
Exactly.
Well, your mom wouldn't say "fuck no," but your mom would say, "No, there's no way."
But good heavens, no.
Good heavens, no.
I really need to revisit the short story. I don't remember anything.
Me too. I just finished Billy Summers for our hangout, and I honestly think I might be downloading If It Bleeds.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to go through the whole thing or if I'm just going to hyper focus in on the life of Chuck.
I might do the same thing, but I might just see the movie. I might wait till after the movie.
And then read it after.
Yeah. I did catch one thing as well. Rated R for language.
Yeah.
Like, that's a choice.
Probably some C-bombs dropping in there.
Maybe. Yeah.
Or what is it, 2 fucks?
2 fucks.
Yeah. Or if you use fuck one time in the context of sex, it immediately makes it R. So, yeah, good stuff. But yeah, that is it. That is. I had a couple other things, but I ended up skipping.
My wife wanted to point out that Mark Hamill is in both Life of Chuck and
The Long Walk.
The Long Walk. He is in both.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Okay, I keep thinking of it in context to him doing another Flanagan, but I'm not putting it in the context if it's also a King adaptation.
Yeah.
So that means that there's 2 Mark Hamill King adaptations this year. Okay.
2 King Mark Hamill adaptations, and the one that is in horror is not Flanagan. That's not confusing at all to my brain. Is that Mark Hamill's in a Flanagan King adaptation, but it's not the horror that's coming out this year. Like, The Long Walk is dystopian horror.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's just kind of, she just wanted to point that out. She pointed that out when we were watching the 2 trailers today. I was like, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. Like, that doesn't compute.
Yeah.
If Hamill's doing a Flanagan King adaptation, it's bound to be horror, right?
Yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's Life with Chuck.
Pretty wild. And he is full Flanagan family now.
Yeah.
I think 2 movies for me is what, or 2 projects, not movies. 2 Flanagan projects get you into the club. And so that means that I just blanked. Stu from Scream.
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard is now in the family, and Mark Hamill is joining the family as well. So good stuff. For the outro stuff, if you want to subscribe to us or rate and review us on any of your podcasting services of your choice, stream us on Amazon Music, Spotify, Audible, anything like that. Your podcast services out there as well. You can join us for the live streams here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver or watch old live streams as well. Find the show notes at darktowerpalaver.com. All the stuff that I covered in this episode, including there's a couple links mentioned in some of the articles that I'll have over there as well. You'll be able to find all the links for this episode over there. And then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. You get access to our Discord server where you can chat with us all the time. You get access to our monthly hangouts. And then if you're at the top level, you get access to hosting a show
co-hosting a show with us,
you got all that. And then
haven't
Peter
had that for a while. We need someone to do that with us.
Yeah, I do need to go and find the people that have done it before and talk about getting them maybe in this year again. So
let's do it again.
Yeah. So, and then if you want to contact the show, maybe let us know some of your Ermot feelings and memories. Peter can tell you the ways to do that.
If you want to send us a picture of a St. Bernard mauling a small boy named Tad, email us at show@darktowerpalaver.com. You can also send us...
I was going to say that doesn't exist, but with AI, you could probably get that made up real quick.
Exactly right. Find us on Threads and Instagram. It's Dark Tower Palaver, one word, no spaces. Blue Sky is at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then Twitter's at darktowerpod, at darktowerpod. Facebook.com/darktowerpalaver is where you find us on Facebook. And then tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver for our merchandise. Hashtag Tad is terrible.
And then we'll be back in a fortnight for another book club as we dive back into Wizard and Glass. We are chugging right along. I think we're approaching 75% of Roland's story.
Yeah.
And then high 60s for the overall book. So, Charyu Tree is coming. I wonder if Charyu Tree is this year maybe. So
I think it will be.
I think it will be too. I might be cutting it close, but I think it will be. So I don't know though, because we're already like 5 months into the year, so we've only got 7 more episodes. Well, no, we have one more month with 3 episodes, which gives us so we probably have 8 book clubs left this year.
Yeah.
So maybe it's good possibility. But until then, though, we will sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
And from me and the spider, long days and pleasant nights, folks.
Oi. All right, everyone in the chat, thank you all for joining. Thanks for being part of the conversation. All the jokes, the emojis, love the snake emojis.
The conversation too.
Good conversation. Love having you all part of the show, the conversation. It's all great. And we'll be back for Geekery Abides in a few minutes. Other than that, we will see you guys in a fortnight. Hopefully some Rhea action. We haven't seen her in a minute. So
thank God. I hope we don't.
All right, see you guys.
Bye, everyone.
A spider in the chat.